Chapter 1026. Shengong kowtowed twice in a row. The first kowtow caused a meteor to fall from the sky. The second kowtow caused the signs of celestial decay to appear on the emperor's body. This showed how frightening his power of misfortune and calamity was. If nothing unexpected happened, the emperor's celestial decay would descend upon him the moment he kowtowed for the third time. However, the emperor understood the source of his misfortune. How could he allow Shengong to kowtow so easily? Even if he kowtowed, he would still be able to keep Shengong in the imperial capital before his celestial decay descended. One mustn't underestimate the means of any monarch. Because of this, Shengong didn't continue kowtowing for the third time. He was afraid that the emperor would strike before his death. The emperor also didn't stop Shengong from leaving. He was afraid of Shengong's power of misfortune. This was also a case of using a hemp stick to beat a wolf. No one wanted to end up in a situation where both sides would perish together. Although this brat Wn Shou is an expert from the ancient times, his foundation is not weak. Back then, he was able to pull that old lunatic out of exile and even used a mysterious method to suppress him. In my opinion, he should have a mysterious supreme treasure in his hands. If the monster emperor comes on an expedition, it won't be as simple as it seems. Know-it-all said in a deep voice. Every imperial dynasty must have a supreme treasure that could suppress fate. Just like the demon court, the heavenly luck jade seal could suppress fate and prevent it from dissipating. It could be passed down for a longer period of time. Such a supreme treasure was extremely unique. It could be purely used to suppress fate, but it could also have incredible offensive power. The demon lord was indifferent when he heard this. He suddenly looked up at the void. In the void, beams of divine light suddenly shot up into the sky and disappeared in the blink of an eye. There are already cultivators entering the heaven-toppling ancient painting to compete for the 3 rankings and 1 score. The great era has begun. The tide is unstoppable. The demon lord said indifferently. Those beams of divine light were the traces left behind when the all-heavens cultivators sensed the heaven-toppling ancient painting with their consciousness. They were drawn into the painting by the painting and left behind. Clearly, there were already cultivators who couldn't help but enter the battle for the 3 rankings and 1 score. This scene was probably the prelude to the battle for the rankings. Whoosh, whoosh. Sure enough, after the first group of cultivators entered, they immediately saw numerous beams of divine radiance shooting into the sky from every region in the surroundings of the violet gold continent. They entered the void like numerous dazzling and gorgeous fireworks. They shot into the sky and entered the battlefield. At the same time, a large black light shot into the sky. Let's go. For the sake of the heaven roll, all the old fellows would probably not be able to resist appearing. I heard that old Wanjie has been reincarnated. He won't let this opportunity go. The know-it-all took a deep look at the Wn Shou imperial dynasty before he turned around and left. Whoosh. In front of the southern heaven gate of the Ling Xiao demon court, a light flashed on the heaven gate, and Shengong's figure appeared. Your Majesty, Shengong has already personally handed the letter of challenge to the Emperor of Longevity. Shengong reported respectfully in the Ling Xiao palace. Di Shitian, who was sitting on the throne, nodded and said, "Good. Pass down my order. The Linglong treasure pagoda will be used by all troops. 5 troops, use all your strength to break through the heavenly stairs. Try to increase your cultivation in the shortest time possible. Commanders, do your best to organize the troops. 1 month later, we will attack the Wan Shou imperial dynasty." "Yes, Your Majesty." Kai Hua, Yuan Tian, and the others replied respectfully. Their bodies were filled with a strong fighting spirit. This battle would be the first time that the Ling Xiao demon court had attacked the outside world. Its significance was extraordinary. It would definitely attract the attention of many forces and races. If they could destroy the Wan Shou imperial dynasty, not only would they be able to show the demon court's might, but they would also be able to intimidate everyone. If their master was humiliated, their subjects would die. The entire demon court was filled with resentment towards the Wan Shou imperial dynasty. Once Di Zhao left, all the troops started to break through the heavenly stairs. Once they were pushed down by the heavenly stairs, they would enter the Linglong treasure pagoda to reverse time and stabilize their cultivation. Then, they would break through the heavenly stairs again and again. The 5 troops were increasing their strength at a shocking speed. At that moment, the outside world was in an uproar because of the battle notice that had been sent to the Wn-Shou Imperial Dynasty. Countless cultivators gathered at the borders of the Wn-Shou Imperial Dynasty, waiting for the terrifying battle that was about to begin. TSK, there will be a good show to watch this time. The Demon Court has just been established and the Demon Emperor immediately sent out a battle notice. Moreover, the battle notice states that they will fight to the death with the Wn-Shou Imperial Dynasty. I heard that when the Shifter Emperor was still weak, the Thousand Beasts sect that was at the forefront of the Wn-Shou Imperial Dynasty once kidnapped the Shifter Emperor's mother, younger brother and younger sister. That humiliation was an unforgivable grudge. It is said that the Thousand Beasts sect was personally destroyed by the Shifter Emperor. Now, we have to find the mastermind behind this. No wonder he sent out a battle notice. It seems like the Wn-Shou Imperial Dynasty and the Demon Court can't coexist. There will be a good show to watch. However, the Wn-Shou Imperial Dynasty is one of the major powers of the human race. Now that they are being attacked by the Demon Court, I wonder if the other powers will help them or even attack the Demon Court. Now that the various heavens have returned to the Purple Gold continent, there are many powerful imperial dynasties. TSK, none of the 9 great imperial dynasties are easy to deal with. The strongest one is the Eternal Emperor dynasty. Next to the Wn-Shou Imperial Dynasty is the Great Mo Imperial Dynasty. It is said that they are famous for their mechanisms and puppets. The others are not simple either. Without the lips, the teeth will feel cold. Who knows, the other imperial dynasties might not just stand by and watch. All sorts of rumors and discussions were spreading in the world. The various races were waiting to watch a good show. After all, this was a battle between the demon race and the human race. It wouldn't affect them at all. Instead, they might be able to fight for the 3 rankings and 1 scroll with fewer opponents. However, the various races' geniuses entered the heaven-overturning battlefield one after another to fight for the rankings. Although the various major powers' attention was attracted to the Wn-Shou Imperial Dynasty, not all of them were there. In the imperial capital of the Wn-Shou Imperial Dynasty. In the study room of the Emperor Palace where the everlasting emperor and his concubines resided, there was an invitation that was as sharp as a blade that was directly inserted into a bronze pillar, sinking deep into the pillar. Me. Little demon emperor, how dare you bully me? You actually sent Shengong, the Star of Calamity, to send a letter. You want to trick me? You're going too far. The emperor could no longer hide the anger in his heart. There were 2 balls of flames burning in his eyes. He sneered and said, Good. Since you want to fight, why would I be afraid of you? Don't think that you can look down on all the experts in the world just because you're the demon emperor. This time, I'm going to teach you a lesson. I'll let you know that the older the ginger, the spicier it is. If I don't suppress you forever, I won't be able to get rid of the hatred in my heart. Every word was spat out from the gaps of his teeth. One could see the hatred in his heart. TSK, Emperor. I didn't expect that you would suffer such a loss in the hands of that little brat Di Shitian. If news of this gets out, you'll be a joke in the entire world. Right at this moment, a weird laughter came from the void and entered the Emperor's ears. Who is it? The Emperor Wn-Shou's face turned ashen as he reprimanded. Whoosh. As soon as Zhongxian said those words, the surrounding space abruptly turned pitch black. It was as though the heavens and earth had been changed. In an instant, they found themselves in a world filled with darkness and baleful aura. Dark Sky Fiend Realm, you are the Black Fiend Patriarch, He Xianfeng. The Longevity Emperor narrowed his eyes. Right now, the place where the everlasting immortal emperor was located was a boundlessly vast world. Here, everything was filled with darkness, and every inch of space was filled with a terrifying baleful aura. This baleful aura constantly transformed into malevolent images of slaughter, evil, and so on. And in the center of this world, there was an incomparably huge pitch-black star. This star emitted a dark light, an endless baleful aura condensed into a terrifying baleful weapon. Countless baleful weapons gathered together, condensing into an incomparably malevolent heaven baleful throne. The black-robed black demon patriarch was sitting on the throne. Long time no see, Emperor WN Shou. The black fiend patriarch called out. Hey Shenfeng, what are you doing here? Are you here to laugh at me? The longevity emperor glared at the black fiend patriarch. Hee. I don't have the time to laugh at you. The black fiend patriarch shook his head and laughed weirdly. I don't think you're that bored. The longevity emperor frowned and said, Speak, what are you here for? Of course, I'm here to help you deal with the demon emperor. The black fiend patriarch's face was filled with baleful aura as he said coldly, Back then, the demon emperor killed my son. Because of the restriction of the ruler's order, I couldn't take action to avenge my poor child. Now that the order has been revoked, how can I let him go? One could clearly feel the thick hatred in his words. The black fiend patriarch looked at the longevity emperor and said, The demon emperor has proven his Tao through strength. Although he didn't walk the orthodox path and has flaws in his body, his combat strength isn't inferior to any other peerless expert. If it's just one of us, I'm afraid we won't be able to take him down. But if the two of us work together, we might be able to take him down no matter how powerful he is. The longevity emperor's eyes flashed and he said, Let's work together to deal with the demon emperor. There was a hint of temptation in his voice. Rumor has it that the demon emperor has many treasures on him. One is the bell of heavenly samsara, a high-grade innate spiritual treasure. The other is the 7 sins demonic zither, which can trigger the power of desire. The tiger soul saber, and even the demon court. If we can suppress the demon emperor, all of these treasures will be ours. The black fiend patriarch laughed sinisterly. All right. The longevity emperor pondered for a moment and said, But just us alone isn't enough. We need to get a few more friends to make sure nothing goes wrong. If you like this work, you're welcome to come to Chidian.com to vote. Your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 1027. Those who have tickets, please help me. Monthly tickets are in short supply. Both the everlasting Great Emperor and the Black Demon Old Ancestor had lost their children to Sakura. They were in the same boat and they felt the same pain. Plus, no matter what, the everlasting Great Emperor couldn't get rid of the battle with the Demon Sovereign. If there was a helper, he wouldn't be so stupid to push it away. They had a common enemy. Plus, they had a lot of benefits. In just a few words, they had formed an alliance. They immediately started to plan. That's right. With the Beast Emperor's strength, even if the two of us can defeat him, we might not be able to keep him here. We need to find more helpers. The Black Demon Old Ancestor's eyes flickered. He suddenly said, I heard that the Eternal Emperor Dynasty's third prince was killed by Di Shitian. Even his primordial spirit was suppressed in the demon court, being trampled on by the beast race day and night. In the past, he was restricted by the sovereign's order and had no choice but to swallow his anger. Now that there's a chance, we might be able to invite him. The Eternal Emperor Dynasty and Di Shitian had an old grudge. It didn't seem rude to mention it now. I heard that Venerable Divine Seal is in seclusion to break through to the unparalleled expert realm. With his foundation, it shouldn't be hard for him to break through. Who knows, we might be able to pull him in. The Longevity Great Emperor said thoughtfully. For a moment, the two of them were discussing how to deal with Di Shitian in the Dark Sky Fiend world. Looking at the situation, they were going to kill Di Shitian in one fell swoop. They would never be able to make a comeback. In the Demon Court, Di Shitian entered the Linglong Treasure Pagoda after giving the order to prepare for war. He broke through to the 9th level in one fell swoop. All the treasures that Ziyue had hidden in the 9 floors of the exquisite pagoda had long been collected. As for the last few floors, because there wasn't much need, they hadn't been broken. This time, Sakura directly broke through one level after another with an incomparably overbearing posture. Now that he had entered the 9th level, the time he could go against the flow increased greatly. At the first level, it was 10 times. At the second level, it was 50 times. At the third level, it was 100 times. At the fourth level, it was 100 times. At the fifth level, it was 200 times. At the sixth level, it was 200 times. At the seventh level, it was 300 times. At the eighth level, it was 300 times. It was equivalent to staying inside for a year, but only a day had passed outside. There were no treasures in the last few levels. After entering the ninth level, Di Shitian casually sat down in a cross-legged position. Suddenly, he felt an indescribable sense of oppression, as if some indescribable danger was about to descend upon him. Sudden inspiration? Could it be that someone is secretly plotting against me? Di Shitian had originally planned to use the Linglong Treasure Pagoda's ability to reverse time to temporarily enter seclusion in the pagoda for a period of time, but he didn't expect that he would suddenly have such a reaction, and he couldn't help but secretly frown. Lunatic Emperor, if he still wants to plot against you at this time, it definitely has something to do with the Emperor Wan show. This time, you sent the challenge letter because you want to use your power to defeat the Emperor Wan show. While you want to take revenge, you also want to spread the name of the demon court. However, this will definitely give the Emperor Wan show time to prepare. He might be up to no good now. You have to be careful. Dark sat comfortably on the reincarnation plate, his eyes rolling a few times as he shouted in disdain. Counter soldiers with arms, water with an earth weir. All schemes are useless in the face of absolute power. Di Shitian took a deep breath, and his eyes shone with a mysterious light. He said coldly, "So what if the Emperor Wan show can get external help? Does it mean that I don't have any helpers? This time, I'm going to destroy the entire Wan show imperial dynasty and refine it to strengthen my demon court." Di Shitian raised his eyes to look at the void, and he wasn't afraid or worried about the Emperor Wan show's request for external help. He was already prepared for this when he sent out the letter of challenge. He already had a countermeasure in his heart. The Heaven and Earth Yuan Qi in the ninth level of the Linglong Treasure Pagoda was so dense that it was almost liquid. After pondering for a while, he immediately put the previous matter aside and ignored it. He slowly closed his eyes, and his consciousness quickly immersed in his body. Looking at his body, there were mysterious Emperor Realm Emperor talismans in every inch of his flesh, and they emitted strange markings. They shuttled around in his flesh, vibrating time and time again, and naturally emitting an endless amount of power. Thick demonic veins were sparkling and translucent. Inside them, pure royal true force was moving back and forth on its own. The 11 demon veins were shining brightly. In the demon residence, the 11th rank Black Lotus was spinning at a constant speed. On the Black Lotus, Di Shitian's willpower body stood majestically. In his body, he could clearly see the willpower crystals spinning. There were a total of 70 of them. Every crystal was like the most perfect piece of art in the world. My willpower is still in the virtual entity realm. This time, I have to raise it to the spirit focus realm and completely transform it from virtual to reality. I have to raise my own realm to the peak of the ancient heavenly demon realm. Di Shitian looked at the crystals in his body and secretly made up his mind. Willpower crystals, merge into my body. After making up his mind, there was no longer any hesitation. With a thought, the willpower crystals that he had plundered and refined from the inner world appeared in the demon residence. Jade boxes were quickly opened, and willpower crystals of various sizes appeared in the jade boxes. The willpower emitted from these crystals was different. Some were pure willpower of massacre, some were terrifying willpower of destruction, etc. They were all different. Even the colors of the crystals were different. For example, Di Shitian's Emperor Realm willpower was purplish gold in color. Swoosh swoosh swoosh. The crystals were first sent into the demon refining cauldron. The demon refining cauldron spun at a constant speed. After 9 revolutions, the crystals in the cauldron had all become transparent like crystals. There was only pure willpower in the cauldron. There was no other willpower at all. The demon refining cauldron had already cleansed all the messy willpower within. Only pure willpower was left. The sparkling and translucent crystals quickly entered his body. They turned into pure willpower and merged into the Emperor's body of willpower. Instantly, the 70 willpower crystals that had been formed in the cauldron radiated rays of divine light. They became even brighter and more resplendent. Di Shitian's Emperor Realm willpower was obviously stronger than the willpower crystals of other experts. The amount of willpower that it required was similarly huge. If it was cultivated normally, it would take 5 to 10 times more time than others. However, back in the primordial battlefield, when he had killed the Sky Demon and Demon Generals, he had obtained no less than 100,000 willpower crystals. No matter how much willpower he needed, willpower crystals continued to fuse into his body. Suddenly, after a period of time, a new Emperor willpower crystal would condense in his body at a speed visible to the naked eye. Under the support of all costs, the willpower crystals in his body continued to form. 73, 74, 75, 76, TSK, TSK. Not bad. First, refine this virtual body into a real body and enter the spirit focus realm. With your own accumulation, you will be able to break through to the peak of the primordial demon realm in the blink of an eye. In the future, you can even try to form an immortal primordial spirit and break through to the primordial demon god realm. Dark saw the situation in Di Shitian's body and nodded to himself. The benefits that he had plundered in the primordial era were simply boundless. It would be immeasurable for his own cultivation. He wondered how much it would increase his cultivation speed. As Han Sen condensed the willpower crystal, he kept running the Extreme King's shocking book. Every pore on his body was swallowing up the air around him at a shocking speed. It was like a Dao Tai crazily swallowing the air around him. The liquid Yuan Qi around him turned into transparent Yuan Qi dragons and continuously poured into his body. It was continuously refined into the pure Emperor true power. He entered the 11th grade Black Lotus. Cultivation knew no time. In the blink of an eye, an unknown amount of time had passed. One by one, the willpower crystals were refined into his body. There were a total of 3,000 willpower crystals. Ding, ding, ding. A crisp sound of nature suddenly burst out from every willpower crystal. In his body, the last willpower crystal had been formed. All 81 willpower crystals had been completed. Suddenly, a beautiful sound of nature came out from every willpower crystal. All of the willpower crystals suddenly started to move quickly, connecting with each other in a mysterious way. In the blink of an eye, strands of purple gold crystal threads suddenly shot out from the willpower crystals. They quickly shuttled through the willpower crystal body. Everywhere the crystal threads went, the originally illusory willpower crystal body could be seen rapidly condensing into a real body. It was as if the crystal threads were flesh and blood, as if they were meridians. In the blink of an eye, the entire willpower crystal body transformed into a real body and advanced to the spirit focus realm. Rumble. At the moment of the willpower crystal body's transformation, the heaven and earth Yuan Qi outside seemed to be strongly stimulated and crazily rushed into the body, continuously pouring into the demon palace. As if it had received some kind of terrible order, a strong willpower rose from the body and attracted the Yuan Qi in all directions. A sea of Yuan Qi swarmed in. Time flew. Almost a month had passed on the purple gold continent. Di Shitian walked out of the Linglong treasure pagoda. After coming out, the emperor's aura on his body faintly became more intense. In the Lingxiao treasure hall, Di Shitian sat upright. In the hall, the officials gathered and stood. Scanning the faces of each of the officials, he saw a strong fighting spirit from them. Their faces were filled with eagerness. They exuded strong confidence. "How is the preparation of the army?" Di Shitian asked. "Your Majesty, all the armies are ready to fight for your Majesty at any time." Mengshi stepped forward confidently and stood in the center of the hall, answering without hesitation. "Good." Di Shitian waved his sleeves and said, "All armies, heed my command. Lead the army to the Wan Shou Imperial Dynasty. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to Chidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation." Chapter 1028. Rumble. In the past month, Kai Hua and the others had been holding their breaths, squeezing every ounce of potential out of the soldiers' bodies, training and cultivating with all their might. All sorts of resources were used on them, allowing all the demon soldiers to reach the peak of the ancient demon saint realm, and they were on the verge of a breakthrough. Once the opportunity came, they would be able to break through to the ancient heavenly demon realm. Their overall aura was more than twice as strong as before. As Di Shitian gave the order, the demon court, which was hovering above the heavenly sound valley, shook slightly, and ripples appeared in the void. The entire ancient city, with a majestic aura, flew towards the Wan Shou Emperor dynasty. Swoosh! In front of the southern heavenly gate of the 4 heavenly gates, the southern heavenly king, who had been standing in front of the gate, pointed his spear forward and shouted, "Heavenly gate, open." Buzz! As soon as he finished speaking, mysterious runes appeared on the southern heavenly gate, and a huge ray of divine light shot forward, forming a huge heavenly gate. The heavenly gate was illusory, but it also looked real. It was faintly discernible, and it shone with a mysterious light. The demon court entered the heavenly gate naturally. With a swoosh, the entire ancient city entered the heavenly gate at a speed visible to the naked eye, and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Then, the heavenly gate collapsed on the spot, as if it had never appeared before. The demon court has finally moved. Looks like the war between them and the Wan Shou Emperor dynasty is about to begin. With the removal of the sovereign's prohibition order, there is nothing that can stop the demon court's supreme divine weapon. This time, they are going to break the heavens. The show is about to begin. The Wan Shou Emperor dynasty, who is prepared, will not be defeated by the demon court so easily. This will be the largest war between the demon race and the human race since the ancient era. Ever since the news of the battle invitation spread, there were many spies outside the demon court, secretly monitoring the demon court's movements. With Head Shu's intelligence, these spies naturally could not be hidden. However, they also knew that these spies could not be completely wiped out. Outside the Wan Shou Emperor dynasty, a gate of heaven appeared out of nowhere in the void. A light flashed in the heavenly gate, and an unparalleled divine city instantly passed through the heavenly gate. The instant it appeared, the entire ancient city expanded at an astonishing speed. It became vast and boundless, and it suppressed the 8 extremities. Dong 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 dong. In front of the southern heavenly gate, 5 neatly arranged armies stood in a battle formation filled with murderous intent. A huge war drum was erected, and a few demon race members with strong physiques revealed their true forms. Their several thousand feet tall demon race members exuded a majestic aura. They waved the drum hammers in their hands, and hit the war drum heavily. The sound of the drum was filled with monstrous battle intent. Every drum beat was like the most powerful heartbeat, causing the demon race members who heard the drum beat to feel their blood boiling, and their battle intent surging. This was the first battle after the demon race established the demon court, and they would not allow any mistakes. Kill, kill, kill. In the void, boundless demon clouds gathered out of nowhere, and there seemed to be countless ancient demon spirits crying out continuously, giving off murderous cries. It was so exciting that the demon race members' eyes shone with a bloodthirsty light. Countless pairs of eyes were watching from all directions at the same time. As soon as the Ling Xiao demon court arrived, the dozens of nearby cities were thrown into chaos. Countless citizens had terrified expressions on their faces. Look, what a huge ancient city. It's the demon race. The demon race is here. It's said that the demon court of the demon race is an ancient city like this, and it's even bigger than our imperial capital. We're finished. It's said that the demon emperor of the demon race has a grudge with our imperial dynasty. This time, we're definitely going to die. Your Majesty, where is your Majesty? Why isn't our Wan Shou imperial dynasty's army coming out to stop them? Why isn't our army coming out to fight? Are we going to let the demon race slaughter us? Even though the people of the Wan Shou imperial dynasty were valiant, they still couldn't help but show intense fear when facing the demon court. The demon court is finally here. We've been waiting for a long time. Today, we'll let you know that our Wan Shou imperial dynasty is not something that anyone can destroy. Heavenly Fiend Blood Transformation Formation. Rise. At that moment, in the dozens of ordinary mortal cities in front of the demon court, as well as the 9 immortal cities that were floating in mid-air where cultivators resided, an ancient powerhouse soared into the sky from the ancient cities. They each held a strange black banner in their hands, and there was a hideous image of a skull on the banner. The skull seemed to have a life of its own, and its hollow eyes shone with a blood-like light. Its upper and lower jaws kept opening and closing, and it let out a hideous and terrifying cry. It exuded an evil power. The 9 ancient powerhouses soared into the sky, and they looked at the vast demon court with hideous smiles as they shouted loudly. At the same time, they threw the strange black banner in their hands into the void. In an instant, they formed a seal with their hands and sent a mysterious seal to the strange banner. Gagagaga. Immediately, the 9 strange banners spewed out waves of black murderous aura, and it quickly grew bigger. The skull inside the banners let out a hideous cry, and it seemed real. It carried an evil aura. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The blood gushed into the 9 strange banners and was devoured in the blink of an eye. However, the skulls on the strange flag became even more strange and agile. They pierced through the 9 ancient giants and didn't let them stop at all. Rays of blood light shot out like blood swords and swept through the city below. Even the ancient giants couldn't withstand these rays of bloodlight. In the blink of an eye, countless cultivators died. Screams of agony filled the air. Millions of cultivators in each immortal city were slaughtered in an instant. However, the strange banners were not satisfied. They wantonly devoured flesh, blood, and souls. It poured into the 9 skulls. Clang, clang. The entire skeleton was dyed blood red. It looked as if it was made of blood jade. Blood light shot out from its eyes and strangely condensed into blood-colored sabers. Once these sabers were condensed, they left the skeleton and didn't dissipate. Instead, as if they were sentient, they whistled through the air toward the mortal cities below. Crack. One head after another was chopped off and sent flying. Ah, what's going on? Why? Why are you killing us? We're on your side. We're the people of the WAN show Imperial Dynasty. Why are you killing us? Why? Why aren't you killing the demonic beasts? Why are you killing us instead? Your Majesty, we're your people. Blood-red baleful weapons shot out from the skulls one after another, rapidly killing in all directions. With each additional kill, one could see that each baleful weapon was more powerful and terrifying. In the void, a layer of blood-red baleful fog spread out in all directions, enveloping every inch of space. Massacre the cities. As soon as the formation was set up, it didn't kill the enemy first. Instead, it slaughtered all the living beings in the formation. Every time a city was slaughtered, the number of blood-colored baleful soldiers flying about in the formation would increase exponentially. In the blink of an eye, all the cultivators and commoners in the formation were slaughtered. Not even a blade of grass was left. Outside, a blood-colored sea of mist appeared in front of the demon court. It covered the entire void and stretched for millions of miles. It blocked in front of the demon court. It was connected to the heavens and the earth. Hiss. In the demon court, the officials appeared in the sky above the southern heaven gate. Di Shitian was sitting on the throne. When he saw the scene in front of him, he couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. He thought to himself, how ruthless. What a terrifying murderous aura. What a terrifying killing formation. It's using the blood of billions of living beings as a sacrifice and slaughtering the commoners of the WAN show Imperial Dynasty. This time, at least 1 billion commoners have died. The Emperor WAN show is truly ruthless. There are 9 ancient giants among him. To think that he could be so ruthless. Old Fox rolled his eyes and suggested, I'm afraid the killing power of this killing formation is shocking. Your Majesty, why don't we use the soaring sky demon court to crush it? No. Although this killing formation is powerful, if we use the demon court because of this, it'll make it seem like we don't have a strong army. Where's the vermilion bird army? Di Shitian raised his hand to stop Hu from speaking. His face darkened and he shouted coldly. The vermilion bird army is here. We await your Majesty's orders. Ying Kong led the 1.2 million soldiers of the vermilion bird army, clad in crimson armor and wielding swords. They stepped forward at the same time, their eyebrows raised as they exuded a strong fighting spirit. They fearlessly asked for battle. Approved. Di Shitian only said one word calmly. Vermilion Bird Army, listen up. Kill. Ying Kong gave the order to the Vermilion Bird Army. He didn't stop. He held the scarlet Vermilion Bird battle sword in his hand and led the charge into the sea of blood without hesitation. Behind him, the 1,200,000 Vermilion Bird Army soldiers followed closely behind. Catcher. Ying Kong's eyes flashed with a cold light, and the Vermilion Bird sword in his hand directly chopped towards the blood fog. The blazing flames of the Vermilion Bird instantly incinerated a large area of the blood fog. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to Chijian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 1029. The sea of blood-colored fog that was originally connected together was split open, leaving behind a crack. Ying Kong was the first to charge into the formation with the Vermilion Bird Army following closely behind. Gagagaga. As soon as they entered the formation, they immediately heard strange and terrifying cries. It was as if there were countless skulls rapidly spinning within the blood mist, staring at them. It made one's hair stand on end. Cold air came out of their bodies. The entire Vermilion Bird Legion gripped their swords tightly and scanned their surroundings with vigilant eyes. Whoosh! The surroundings were silent. However, in an instant, there were countless sharp sounds of air being torn apart. Numerous blood-red weapons with dense baleful chi appeared one after another. There were blood-red sabers, blood-red swords, blood-red spears, and so on. They swept over at an astonishing speed. These blood soldiers were abnormally fast. Even though the Vermilion Bird Army was already on high alert, many of them were still cut open by the blood soldiers. Their bodies were cut open and turned into pools of blood. But at the same time, the Vermilion Bird Army was the best of the best. Every one of them had the battle power of an ancient demon saint. Many of the soldiers instinctively raised their swords to block the blood blades that were flying towards them. Be careful, there's something strange about these blood weapons. Ying Kong's eyes turned and said, this formation is very strange. We can only see the blood mist in front of us. We can't see anything more than 3 feet away. However, the foundation of this formation is the 9 Sky Fiend banners. As long as we find and destroy the banners, the Sky Fiend blood transformation formation will be broken. As he spoke, a determined expression appeared on his face. He said, this is the first battle since the establishment of the Lingxiao Demon Court. We can't afford any mistakes. We've all left our souls on the demon sealing list. Even if we die, our souls won't be destroyed. We're willing to die for the demon court. There was a sense of sacrifice in his voice. It also had the power to stir up emotions. The eyes of all the soldiers in the Vermilion Bird Army lit up. Without any fear, they shouted, we're willing to die for the demon court. Good. Everyone, listen up. Divide into 9 groups and form the Vermilion Bird battle formation. Ying Kong saw the morale rise and immediately gave the order without hesitation. Boom boom boom. The Vermilion Bird Corps quickly split into 9 smaller corps and formed the Vermilion Bird battle formation at the same time. This battle formation was used almost every day during the Vermilion Bird Corps training. All kinds of battle formations were ingrained into their bones, so there was no chance of failure. Howl howl howl. A series of resounding cries of the Vermilion Bird broke through the air within the formation, emitting an incomparably blazing aura. Suddenly, 9 huge vermilion birds appeared in the formation at the same time. Every single vermilion bird was extremely lifelike, as if they were real. Every single feather on their body emitted blazing flames. Emitting a dazzling light, he proudly raised his head high. Gaga. Kill. 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 All living things must die. Kill. Exterminate the world. A strange cry rang out from the formation. It sounded like the cries of millions of undead. Monstrous resentment continued to gather. Clang clang clang. The blood mist in the surroundings churned as countless sharp blood weapons swept toward the 9 vermilion birds from all directions. Looking at the blood weapons, it was unknown how many vengeful spirits were wrapped around them. The baleful energy contained in each blade was enough to cut an ancient giant in half. The baleful energy gathered together to form a killing formation. Howl. However, the 9 vermilion birds were not afraid at all. They let out a long cry. With a whoosh, the crimson vermilion bird divine flame gushed out from their feathers and enveloped them in flames. Every wisp of flame burned the surrounding blood mist away at a speed visible to the naked eye. When the baleful weapons came into contact with the vermilion bird divine flame, it was as if yin and yang had collided. Darkness and light collided, creating a terrifying roar. The blood blades tried to cut through the divine flames, but at the same time, the vengeful spirits on the blood blades were burned to ashes by the divine flames. Even the blood blades turned into blood and were burned away by the divine flames. The vermilion bird battle formation, the azure dragon battle formation, and the others were all part of the 5 divine beast battle formations. They were the secrets of the demon clan and contained supreme power. The more demon soldiers that formed the battle formation, the stronger the vermilion bird true form would be. At this moment, the lowest cultivation level of each demon soldier was at the peak of the ancient demon saint realm. All of the power gathered. It almost gave the vermilion bird true form a monstrous battle strength comparable to a peerless master. In addition, the vermilion bird divine flame was one of the most domineering divine flames in the world. When it was activated, it burned the blood weapons into dust. Even when the blood weapons cut the vermilion bird true form, sparks flew when the feathers collided with the blood weapons. Even the feathers of the vermilion bird true form were not damaged. Roar. The vermilion bird let out a long cry. It opened its mouth and spat out a red divine flame. Everywhere it went, the blood fog was burned into dust. The vermilion bird's divine beast power was completely unleashed at this moment. What a shocking sky baleful blood transformation formation. The more it kills, the stronger it becomes. However, the vermilion bird battle formation is even more terrifying. It can form the vermilion bird true form. Each of them is far more powerful than the ancient giants. That divine flame is invincible. The demon clan has become so powerful. Just the demon emperor and the vermilion bird army alone are already unbelievably powerful. They are not inferior to any powerful Dao soldier. This is just one of the armies in the demon court. I heard that the demon court has the 5 divine beast armies, the 12 zodiac armies, and the heaven's punishment army. Their combined strength is unimaginable. Look, the vermilion bird army is already facing the 9 sky baleful banners. In order to show the power of the demon court and their own combat strength, Di Shitian threw a heavenly insight divine mirror into the void. The heavenly insight divine mirror immediately captured the scene in the formation. It was shown in the mirror. Moreover, it wasn't hidden at all. Even those who were secretly spying on them could see everything clearly. In the mirror, the 9 vermilion birds found a sky baleful banner. Their feathers turned into sharp swords and slashed at the sky baleful banners. However, at the same time, 2 rays of blood-red light shot out from the blood-red skull in the divine fiend banner and shot towards the vermilion bird. The blood-red light was extremely terrifying. Wherever it went, even the vermilion bird was penetrated. A large number of demon soldiers were killed instantly, but their true spirits were still on the demon sealing roll. Rumble. At the same time, the sky baleful banners were broken by the feathers. Good. It's about time. When Di Shitian saw this, he nodded to himself. Although the vermilion bird army had suffered a lot in the formation, the scene just now was enough to let the various races clearly understand that the demon court was no longer the declining demon clan that could be bullied by anyone. They were now the rising demon court. South Sky King, receive the Sky Gate. Sakura took a deep breath, and the majesty on his body spread out in all directions like a tide as he said resolutely, "Yes, sir." The South Sky King replied without hesitation. Whoosh. He had a mysterious connection with the South Sky Gate. At this moment, he used all his strength. In an instant, the South Sky Gate flashed and an illusory Sky Gate appeared in the formation. When the vermilion bird army saw the appearance of the Sky Gate, they knew what it meant. They turned around and entered the Sky Gate. In the blink of an eye, They were back in front of the South Sky Gate. You want to stop me with a mere sky baleful blood transformation formation? Emperor WN Show, no matter how ruthless you are, so what if you're willing to abandon billions of people? Your people are nothing in my eyes. You've killed billions of people to gather murderous aura. Today, you've fulfilled my demon court. How dare you be so arrogant with a mere killing formation? I'll break you. Sakra sat upright on the numinous sky throne. His right hand slammed heavily on the armrest as he shouted with sarcasm in his tone. Rumble. As soon as he finished speaking, countless heavenly sounds reverberated outside the demon court. Suddenly, countless mysterious runes appeared on the sky gate. An illusory heavenly gate rushed out of nowhere from the southern heaven gate. This heavenly gate exuded an ancient charm. It vaguely exuded a supreme power that could suppress all directions. The illusory sky gate floated in mid-air. It didn't stop and directly pressed down on the entire sky baleful blood transformation formation. At the same time, the gate of heaven emitted a monstrous power. The pressure emanating from the door caused the surrounding space to distort in a strange manner. Rumble. When the South Sky Gate pressed down on the formation, which was almost destroyed by the Vermilion Bird Army, suddenly collapsed. Clumps of blood mist started to disperse and spread out in all directions. Ultimate Emperor Jade Archive, Sky Baleful Blood Transformation Formation devours boundless murderous aura. Devours boundless resentment to complete the Great Tao. Without giving the murderous aura a chance to escape, the demon court descended from the sky. In the ancient city, it exuded a strong devouring force that swept across the entire area. It was as if a huge vortex had appeared under the ancient city. The boundless devouring force swept the surrounding murderous aura, the broken sky baleful banner, and the blood blades into the ancient city like a tide. It instantly appeared on the Ultimate Emperor Jade Archive. It was refined by the primal chaos divine flame. Immediately, streams of pure murderous aura and resentment from the deaths of billions of living beings quickly merged into the Ultimate Emperor Jade Archive. In the blink of an eye, the murderous aura talisman and resentment talisman in the entire Jade Archive were devouring the huge fragments of the Great Tao at an astonishing speed. The two talismans were being perfected at an astonishing speed. In a large hall in the imperial capital of the 10,000 Beast Empire, a few powerful existences were staring at the scene in the mirror in front of them. It was the scene of the battlefield. It's a pity that my sky baleful blood transformation formation is a rare ultimate formation in the world. When activated to the limit, it can even trap a peerless powerhouse. However, the killing formation needs a blood sacrifice. These billions of lives are not enough for the killing formation to be activated to the limit. The Black Demon Patriarch had a regretful look on his face. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to Chijien. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 1030. Damn, National Day isn't a good day to explode. I've been dragged out by my friends every day, and I just drank a bit of wine. Now that I'm free, I'll explode. The Heavenly Fiend Blood Transformation Formation was created by the Black Demon Ancestor. It was a terrifying killing formation formed by condensing the boundless baleful chi, resentment, and blood chi of heaven and earth. The more people it killed, the stronger it would be. If all the citizens of the WN Shou imperial dynasty were sacrificed to the formation, its power would be unimaginable. But in the end, Great Emperor WN Shou didn't really sacrifice all the people of the imperial dynasty. If he did, the entire imperial dynasty would be destroyed. That wasn't something he wanted to see. Fortunately, this absolute formation was only a test at the beginning. The demon court only sent out a single Vermilion Bird army, and they were able to break the formation and condense the Vermilion Bird true body. From the looks of it, the demon court's current strength can't be underestimated. If the entire army is gathered together, they can fight against peerless experts. The strength of the monster race is growing so fast that it's terrifying. The ancient great emperor, who was wearing a yellow robe, humphed coldly. He didn't try to hide his fear at all. He was furious at the soaring sky demon court because the 4 heavenly gates were suppressing his descendants. However, he didn't underestimate the soaring sky demon court at all. Back then, when he released the old madman, he couldn't do anything to the demon court. He already knew that no matter if it was the demon court or the monster emperor, they weren't ordinary people. However, this time, Great Emperor Wn Shou's invitation gave him a rare opportunity. A chance to pull the monster emperor down. The demonic emperor's Lingxiao demon court is a paragon divine weapon. Its destructive power is extremely strong. We must lure it here. Only then will we have the chance to kill this monster. Otherwise, if the demonic emperor doesn't leave the city, even if we join forces, it will be difficult to pose a threat to him, let alone kill him. Within the hall, a middle-aged man in a starry daoist robe stood tall while emanating strands of a dignified and righteous aura. His face was upright and well-defined, and he emanated an extremely strong pressure to the surroundings. The starry robe shone with dazzling starlight, as if it was a mystical star map. All kinds of great formations were constantly changing. His eyes were incomparably deep, as if there was a galaxy flowing within them. Every strand of hair shone with the light of the stars. This person was none other than Venerable God Feng, who had appeared in front of Di Shitian back then. The aura he exuded was in no way beneath that of the ancient God Emperor and the Longevity Emperor. He was actually a peerless expert. Towards the demon race, towards Di Shitian, he had an almost paranoid feeling of disdain and loathing. In his eyes, any demon race member should be killed. Now, under the leadership of Di Shitian, the demon race was growing stronger and stronger. To him, this was something that he could not tolerate. After receiving Emperor Wn Shou's invitation, he rushed over without hesitation. That's right. The demon court must think of a way to keep it in check. The Black Demon Patriarch also agreed. This patriarch has a fierce formation, the Heavenly Fiend Divine Formation. Once activated, it should be able to temporarily restrain that ancient city. His eyes were filled with ferocity, revealing a sinister look. Light flashed in his hand, and 12 pitch-black ancient cities appeared. The ancient cities shrunk infinitely. However, one could clearly see that every inch of the city was emitting an endless amount of evil and fiendish aura. Evil souls were floating everywhere. They were struggling in pain in the city. The appearance of the sinless city appeared in the 12 ancient cities. Each ancient city was exactly the same, without a trace of difference. Moreover, the aura they exuded was that of a peak supreme ancient city. These ancient cities were a killing move in the hands of the Black Demon Patriarch, and at this moment, he took them out without hesitation. This venerable has a great formation, the Heavenly Crystal God Sealing Formation. It should be able to restrain the demon court with the power of the ancient stars, Venerable God Feng said in a deep voice. Good. Since the two of you have put in so much effort, I, Wn Shou, naturally can't fall behind. Hearing the words of the two, Wn Shou Great Emperor couldn't help but nod and say angrily, in my Wn Shou Imperial Dynasty, this emperor once spent countless wealth to refine 108 Wn Shou banners, which can be used to set up the Wan Shou Heaven Devouring Formation. Once set up, heaven and earth will become a Wan Shou desolate domain. Even if the demon court has monstrous power, it won't be easy to break it. Together with the fierce formation set up by the two of you, we might be able to suppress the demon court in one fell swoop. The Heavenly Fiend Blood Transformation Formation was just a test. After this test, they understood the monstrous power of the demon court and immediately began to discuss countermeasures against the demon court. Obviously, they wanted to restrain the battle power of the demon court, a supreme artifact, and then join forces to deal with Di Shitian. In the end, they were all existences standing at the top of heaven and earth. In a few words, they had already discussed the following matters. Demon Court. In front of the Southern Heaven's Gate. Your Majesty, Kong Ying is here to issue an order. Our Vermilion Bird Army has not disgraced the Demon Court. Kong Ying knelt on one knee in front of Di Shitian and said with a strong battle intent on his face. However, there was still a faint sadness in his eyes. In this battle, the entire Vermilion Bird Army had lost close to 100,000 soldiers. Most of them died when they were pierced by the bloody light from the 9 skulls. Good. After the battle, this emperor will reward you according to your merits. Di Shitian said in a deep voice as he looked around. The majestic aura on his body became even stronger. He ordered, "Where are the 5 armies? The Azure Dragon Army is here. The Vermilion Bird Army is here. The White Tiger Army is here. The Xuanwu Army is here. The Chilean Army is here." All the soldiers of the 5 armies replied loudly at the same time. Their voices shook the void, and their battle intent reverberated in the void. The Azure Dragon Army is in charge of the east, the Vermilion Bird Army is in charge of the south, the White Tiger Army is in charge of the west, the Xuanwu Army is in charge of the north, and the Chilean Army is in the middle. This emperor wants to leave no one alive in the Wan Shou imperial dynasty. There is no need to leave anyone alive. Kill. Di Shitian gave the order coldly. There was a strong smell of blood in his voice. There was a saying that the anger of an ordinary man would cause blood to splash everywhere. The anger of an emperor would cause blood to flow like a river. As for the Wan Shou Empire, he did not hesitate to give the order to exterminate them. "Yes, Your Majesty." The 5 legions received their orders. Immediately, the fighting spirit in their eyes surged as they responded loudly. Rumble. The 5 legions had been prepared for a long time. As soon as they received the order, they immediately left the Ling Xiao demon court and charged out. Wherever they went, there were flashes of light that killed all the lives in the area. It swept through the entire Wan Shou imperial dynasty like it was crushing dry weeds and smashing rotten wood. They were like 5 terrifying torrents that swept through the entire territory. Buzz, buzz, buzz. The demon court swallowed the heaven ferocious blood transformation formation. In an instant, the 2 talismans in the Emperor's Jade Archive were completed. They turned into 2 complete Great Tao talismans. Then, in the core space, 2 grey lotuses emerged from the void and solidified. Inside them, 2 independent small worlds were opened. They were filled with ferocious qi and towering resentment. At the same time, a mysterious formation appeared in an incomplete talisman in the Emperor's Jade Archive. That formation was the Heaven Ferocious Blood Transformation formation from before. Clearly, this was a Formation Dao talisman. Inside it, various formations of various sizes flashed one after another. At this moment, when the Heaven Fiend Blood Transformation formation merged with it, a small portion of the incomplete talisman was immediately mended. 5 elements bewildering formation, 6 directions heaven filling formation, tripartite wheel formation, yin-yang chaos formation, 7 stars devil slaying formation. TSK. And now, with the Heaven Fiend Blood Transformation formation, this talisman is almost complete. Once it's complete, the various grand formations within it will be able to be integrated into the Demon Court of High Firmament. Any formation can be used at will. TSK, Lunatic Emperor, this time when we attack the Wan Shou Imperial Dynasty, we might be able to complete all the talismans in the Emperor's Jade Archive. Dark licked his lips excitedly and said strangely. At the same time, countless ferocious marks and resentment marks quickly spread in the ancient city. They covered every inch of the city. In an instant, the entire demon court became stronger. The blood mist in the surroundings was devoured, and the scene that was originally covered by the formation was revealed. The broken ancient city was deathly silent. The soil was dyed red by blood. What a ruthless Emperor Wan Shou. He even gave up on his own people. He cultivated the Emperor's Tao, and the Emperor's Tao is based on the people. He is destroying his own foundation. What a ferocious killing formation. It killed so many people to be used as a sacrifice. It seems like the Wan Shou Imperial Dynasty is planning to fight to the death with the Demon Court. When they saw the area covered by the formation, the people who were watching in the dark couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. This was war. The moment the 2 sides clashed, the number of casualties had already reached an unimaginable level. Rumble. After the Demon Court finished devouring the Heaven Ferocious Blood Transformation formation, they didn't stop at all. They didn't feel satisfied at all. This time, they came to destroy the entire Wan Shou Imperial Dynasty. The demon court emitted a boundless pressure. The 4 heavenly gates were like the mouth of a ferocious beast, emitting a terrifying aura. They wanted to devour the entire world. They were going straight for the Wan Shou imperial capital. The 5 great armies were divided into 4 directions. However, this was only the tip of the iceberg. The real battlefield was at the forefront, at the Wan Shou imperial capital. Come on then, Emperor Wan Shou. Let this emperor have a taste of your abilities. Shitian took a deep breath and sat on the throne. The demon court under him charged forward in an overbearing manner. Everywhere they went, they could clearly see that all the cities were smashed into pieces. All the living beings and cultivators were instantly crushed into dust. 5 great armies to attack the enemy. Beast Emperor, don't be so arrogant. Today is the day you die. I will use your head as a sacrifice to my child who died tragically. Just as the demon court charged into the central region of the imperial capital, a furious voice resounded in the void. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to Chijian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 1031. In the air, the black demon old ancestor, who was clad in black robes, had a malevolent expression on his face. His cold eyes swept towards Sakura. The pressure that was emitted from his eyes was like a sharp sword that could pierce through the void. A light flashed in his hand. Swish, swish, swish. The 12 guiltless cities flew up from his hand at the same time. In an instant, they expanded rapidly. In the blink of an eye, they turned into huge ancient cities. Each of the ancient cities exuded a terrifying aura that was at the peak of the supreme grade. It crazily spread out in all directions, spewing out evil and terrifying demonic aura. As soon as the 12 ancient cities appeared, they immediately surrounded the entire Ling Xiao demon court. In the blink of an eye, they had already surrounded the entire Ling Xiao demon court. Each ancient city seemed to have a mysterious connection. They were connected together in a mysterious way, forming a mysterious and ominous formation. Rumble. Below every sinless city, the earth trembled violently as a terrifying black divine light shot up from the ground. In an instant, the entire ancient city was pierced through from bottom to top. Black divine pillars pierced through the clouds. The entire space seemed to have been frozen on the spot. The torrential baleful aura that had accumulated for an unknown number of years poured into the ancient city through the heaven-reaching divine pillars. In the blink of an eye, it emitted an endless aura of evil. Sin, quickly throw yourself into the embrace of sin. Release all the desires in your heart. Don't fall into sin. You will live a sinless life in sin. Sin will never be extinguished. Sin is everything. From every sinless city, there were waves of tempting voices of sin. In the cities, countless souls that had fallen into sin called out to their surroundings, describing the beauty of falling into the abyss of sin. Crash. Thick, pitch-black chains of sin whizzed out of every city of sin like spiritual snakes. On every chain of sin, one could clearly see countless souls of sin singing about the beauty of sin. Fallen freedom. Almost instantly, countless chains of sin interweaved into a terrifying net of sin. It filled every inch of space. With a crash, it sealed every inch of space around the demon court. Like a net of law, it whistled towards the demon court. Waves of evil voices invaded the demon court. Countless cultivators and demons were faintly tempted by it. Rumble. The demon court shook fiercely, trying to break the chains of sin around it. However, the strange thing was that these chains of sin were abnormally tough. Although the chains were rattling, the chains were firmly bound around the ancient city. They were unable to break apart in a short period of time. Every chain seemed to have the power to restrain a peerless expert. Sin City, Sin Chain. You are Black Eye's father, the patriarch of the Black Fiend Great World, the Black Fiend Patriarch. Sakura sat upright on the throne. His eyes couldn't help but contract slightly. He squinted and shot out strands of cold light as he glanced at the Black Demon Patriarch. When he saw the Sinless City, he immediately guessed who this expert in front of him was. Shitian, you dared to kill my beloved. Today, I will make you pay with your blood. Next year, today will be the day of your death. Let's see how you resist my heavenly fiend divine formation." The black demon patriarch laughed sinisterly. His hatred could be clearly felt. "Me." Sakra raised his eyebrows, his face was overflowing with overbearing emperor's aura. He glared angrily and snapped, "Black demon old man, you must have eaten a bear's heart and leopard's guts to block in front of this emperor. Do you want to die?" As soon as his voice fell, rolling thunder sounded in the void. His tone was as if he was scolding his subordinates. The black demon patriarch was so angry that his nose was about to become crooked. His cultivation stood at the peak of the world. No matter who it was, even if they were dissatisfied with him, they would not dare to slight him in the slightest. Now, he was being scolded on the spot, and in front of all the various races. This was simply a slap to his face. It was a resounding slap. "Yarrow Emperor, you!" The black demon patriarch pointed at Di Shitian, fuming with rage. His face was ashen, and his hair was covered in black smoke. "Inhuman. You really are inhuman," he said. "You don't know the slightest bit of etiquette and etiquette. You're a race that should have been wiped out in ancient times. You're nothing more than a bunch of vile creatures, and yet you dare to spout nonsense here? Today, I'll show you vile creatures that the masters of heaven and earth are humans, not you vile creatures." Rumble. At this moment, a cold voice was heard. Venerable Feng Shen suddenly appeared in the void, facing the black demon ancestor. Suddenly, the crystal-like celestial crystal god-sealing tablets appeared one after another. There were a total of 108 of them, scattered around the Ling Xiao demon court. The god-sealer steles emanated strange sealing power and astral power. They quickly formed into a god-sealer formation. As soon as the formation was complete, the god-sealer steles began to emit a strange attractive force that began to flow toward the starry sky. The void began to tremble violently. The boundless power of the stars poured down like a tidal wave. In just an instant, it was poured into the grand formation. In the blink of an eye, the world around them transformed into a strange world of stars. Countless stars surged out like tidewater and began to move in mysterious trajectories. "God-sealer, God-sealer, God-sealer." In the star world, countless stars gathered together crazily, forming an incomparably huge celestial crystal god-sealing stele in the sky. From the stele, there seemed to be countless believers praying devoutly, singing the praises of God-sealing. The aura emanating from the stele caused the void around it to distort at a speed visible to the naked eye. The god-sealer stele smashed down toward the demon court in a domineering fashion. Whiz! The demon court shook violently, and the 4 heavenly gates shone brightly. An invisible barrier appeared under the god-sealer stele and lifted it up. However, the pressure emanating from the stele caused the entire ancient city to tremble violently. Even the space within the formation was repelling the ancient city. However, Di Shitian wasn't afraid at all. He wasn't affected by the formation in front of him at all. He stared coldly at the venerable of God-sealer with murderous intent. "Who do you think you're cursing, evil creature?" he retorted mockingly. "Evil creature cursing." The venerable of God-sealer was about to retort, but after uttering those words, he realized the trap in those words. His expression turned cold as he said, "Evil creature. Even if you have heaven-defying abilities, you won't be able to escape today. Back then, I didn't kill you with a single finger. Today, I will personally slap you to death." "That's right. Shifter Emperor, you're just relying on the supreme artifact of the demon court. Today, I will make sure that you won't be able to borrow the power of the demon court." 10,000 beast heaven-devouring formation. Great Emperor Wn Shou tore through the air with a loud rumble as he mocked Sakra Tien. He waved his hand. Rumble. Roar. 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 The entire territory of the 10,000 beast imperial dynasty trembled violently without any warning. Terrifying cracks appeared on the ground, and the earth was collapsing at a speed visible to the naked eye. Strange 10,000 beast banners emerged from the ground one after another. There were a total of 108 banners, and they instantly disappeared into the void. In the blink of an eye, the void turned into an independent world. Billions of terrifying roars of beasts were heard like a tide. They were filled with a wild aura. "Your Majesty, look. There are so many beast souls. These beast souls are able to devour the power of heaven and earth and become stronger. Ancient great demon sage. Oh no, they have reached the combat strength of an ancient heavenly demon. Your Majesty, this should be the 10,000 Beast Imperial Dynasty's peerless formation, the 10,000 Beast Heaven-devouring formation. Legend has it that this formation has the power to devour the heavens. However, it can only be used once, and all the beast souls within it will be destroyed. With the destruction of the beast souls, it can unleash the most terrifying and overbearing attack. This time, the 10,000 life Great Emperor really wants to bury us here. Heavenly ferocious divine formation, heavenly crystal god sealing formation, 10,000 beast heaven devouring formation. They want to completely annihilate the soaring firmament demon caught in the formation, whose eyes shone brightly as he looked at the three peerless formations that were restraining the demon caught at the same time. His eyes were filled with hatred. Outside, there were countless exclamations. "Oh my God, Patriarch Black Wretch. I can't believe this lord is here. Rumor has it that he slaughtered his way here, and his hands are stained with the blood of countless cultivators. He even used Sinless City to lure in countless living beings. Among the peerless experts, he's one of the most difficult to deal with. Venerable Divine Seal, he's an ancient cultivator who was extremely famous during the ancient era. He participated in the Great War to cleanse the demonic beasts. In that war, who knows how many demonic beasts he killed. I didn't expect him to become a peerless expert. Hurry up and take a look. That's the ancient immortal emperor. To think that even he would be here. And now, there's the longevity emperor as well. Holy **T. To think that we would have offended 4 unparalleled powerful beings in one go. This is going to break the heavens. It's really going to break the heavens this time. 3 peerless formations. I'm afraid that even with the strength of the demon court, it'll be difficult to break through them in a short period of time. They might even be held back. Once that happens, the demon emperor will be in danger facing 4 peerless experts alone. Roar, roar, roar. From the void, countless beasts swarmed out like a flood. These beasts had bloodthirsty eyes, and the aura they emitted was actually not inferior to any of the ancient heavenly demons. The energy in their bodies was extremely berserk. Letting out terrifying beastly roars, they charged towards the demon court in a frenzy. "Xie, you're in charge of the demon court," Di Shitian said to Chen Shi, who was beside him, without even looking at the beasts that were charging in from all directions. At the same time, he shouted to the void, the celestial emperor's chariot. "If you like this work, you're welcome to come to Chidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my greatest motivation." Chapter 1032. The double monthly ticket is about to end. Those who have tickets, please help me. Roar, 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 roar. 9 primordial ferocious dragons pulled the celestial emperor's war chariot from the ancient city. The war chariot was filled with boundless emperor's aura. The aura that emanated from the war chariot almost destroyed the chains of sin that bound the void. Di Shitian stood up from his throne. At this moment, even though he was in the middle of the 3 ultimate formations, there was nothing he could do to conceal the boundless might of an emperor. This was a might that belonged to an emperor. To think that it was even more concentrated, pure, strong, and domineering than the ancient times emperor and the longevity emperor. With just a move, it was as though all the light in the surroundings had gathered on his body. The sun, moon, and the universe were revolving around him. Taking a step forward, his body left countless afterimages in the air as he appeared on the celestial emperor's war chariot. His feet were connected to the war chariot. Rumble. The celestial emperor's war chariot radiated a mysterious light as countless emperor's chi aura gathered around the war chariot. Scenes of thousands of living beings worshipping the emperor flashed. The celestial emperor's canopy burst out with dazzling divine light as it spun above his head. In the war chariot, there was an illusory emperor's divine statue that was faintly discernible. His aura had completely merged with the war chariot. The eyes of the 9 immemorial ferocious dragons sparkled with excitement. It could be clearly seen that the dragon scales on their bodies had become even brighter. Each piece of scales was like the most perfect crystal, presenting a hexagonal shape. They were densely distributed on every inch of the dragon's body. The power contained in the dragon's body had become even more tyrannical. They realized that every time they fought alongside Di Shitian, the power in their bodies would unknowingly increase. This was especially so for their spiritual intelligence, which had become clearer and smarter. Vaguely, they had touched the barrier that would allow them to reach the pinnacle. Once they broke through it, they would be able to soar to the 9 heavens. This caused them to constantly look forward to the arrival of a great battle and the continuous slaughter. Yang Yu Ling Zixien, why are you all here? Di Shitian, who had stepped onto the Celestial Emperor's chariot, suddenly frowned and glanced at the chariot behind him. Jiwei. The small window on the chariot was pushed open as 2 little heads stuck out of it. They were none other than Di Yang and Di Yu. Father, Yang wants to see you kill the bad guys. In the future, Yang wants to become an indomitable emperor like you. Daddy, Yu wants to cheer for Daddy. In Yu's heart, Daddy is the strongest. Nobody can defeat Daddy. Di Yu's eyes were filled with worship. Big brother. It wasn't easy for me to fight alongside Big brother, so don't chase Linger away. Di Linger blinked her eyes and said, Don't be afraid, no matter who the bad guys are, with Zixien here, they definitely won't be able to hurt us. Let me tell you, Zixien is very fierce. A sly look flashed across Zixien's eyes as she waved her little fists confidently with a ferocious look on her face. Obviously, the 4 of them had no intention of going down from the chariot. Good. You are indeed my, Di Shitian's, younger sisters and children. Di Shitian did not chase them out of the chariot directly. Instead, he nodded and said in a deep voice, Today, I will let you experience for yourselves how the glory of the demon court came to be. Every bit of glory of the demon clan was forged with blood. Countless pieces of flesh and blood were piled up. He did not chase them away. Instead, he changed his mind and treated this incident as a form of education for them. He wanted them to understand where the glory of the demon clan came from. Di Shitian's gaze swept across the 2 battle spears on the chariot. The one on the left was a purplish-golden battle spear. From that battle spear, one could clearly feel a supreme power that could judge all living beings. On the body of the spear, countless purplish-golden divine runes intertwined together as if they were drawing the picture of countless living beings. The intertwined divine runes formed 2 strange emperor runes on the body of the spear, Judgment. When the heavenly emperor was angry, all living beings would be exterminated, and blood would flow like rivers. The heavenly emperor also had the supreme power to judge all living beings in the world. This was the Judgment Battle Spear. This battle spear had the power to judge all living beings in the world. On the right was the silver-white demon slayer battle spear. Of the 2 battle spears, one represented power, and the other represented responsibility. While wielding power, one also had to shoulder one's own responsibilities. The Heavenly Emperor's Chariot, O Heavenly Emperor's Chariot. You were exchanged for the flesh and blood of countless demon clan ancestors in ancient times. You are the most precious treasure of the demon clan, the Heavenly Emperor's palace. One spear is judgment, and the other is demon slaying. I have already borne responsibility and power. I have also killed billions of demon gods. Today, it is time for me to exercise my power. Judgment Battle Spear, the human clan has betrayed their faith and turned against the demon clan behind our backs. The human clan should not be judged. Sakra's eyes stared at the Judgment War Spear. The words in his mouth were spoken in a deep tone at the beginning, but towards the end, his words gradually became sonorous and powerful, and his tone was impassioned. There was also a kind of grief and indignation in his words. It was as if countless heroic spirits of the demon clan who had died unjustly in ancient times were roaring unyieldingly. Clang. As if it could feel the humiliation of the entire demon clan, The purple-gold divine light on the judgment battle spear flickered continuously like a tide. The divine inscriptions on the spear seemed to have come alive in an instant. With a soft sound, the entire spear flew backward instantly and fell into Di Shitian's hands without needing to reach out. Judgment! Judgment! The moment he grasped the battle spear, a majestic will gushed out from the battle spear like a tidal wave. It was as if countless living beings were shouting at the same time, roaring furiously. The domineering will almost caused the surrounding space to distort. At the same time, a purple-gold divine light flashed from the spear and directly imprinted into Di Shitian's mind. In an instant, a majestic amount of information rushed into his mind. His mind began to work at an astonishing speed. In the blink of an eye, the information that was transmitted to his mind was completely sorted out and absorbed. After this investigation, he could not help but secretly turn his head. The Judgment Battle Spear was indeed like the Demon Slayer Battle Spear. It also had a set of powerful battle skills. This set of battle skills was called 9 Strikes of Judgment. There were a total of 9 strikes, each of which had the supreme power to judge the heavens. The Demon Clan is unjust. This Emperor is the judge. The Demon Clan is guilty. You shall be executed. Di Shitian's current cultivation realm was very high, and with the Judgment Battle Spear automatically imparting the technique to him, it only took a few breaths for him to completely comprehend the entire set of battle skills. Rumble. With the Judgment Battle Spear in his hand, Di Shitian was like the Emperor of Judgment at this moment, holding the supreme power to judge the heavens. Glaring angrily, he thrust the spear straight into the void. Judgment. Judgment of all evil. Judgment of all evil. Those who disobey shall be executed. Figures of living beings appeared on the spear, their mouths filled with awe-inspiring righteousness as they uttered prayers and cries of judgment. Countless cries gathered together to form a monstrous will of judgment. In the face of judgment, even the heavens would be pierced, and the earth would be pierced. All who stood in its way would be reduced to dust under the fury of judgment. The chains of evil that were blocking the void were crushed by the Judgment Battle Spear as if they were rotten twigs. They were reduced to countless fragments that shot out in all directions. Even the stars were shattered, and the beast souls that swarmed over were scattered on the spot by the spear. A huge crack appeared on the ground. It led directly to the outside of the formation. Roar, roar, roar. Indra slightly pushed his feet, and immediately, the 9 primordial fierce dragons understood the meaning behind it. One after another, they let out a dragon roar in excitement. The dragon claws under their bodies quickly waved forward, and their bodies danced. All of a sudden, an astonishing power burst out, and pulled the Celestial Emperor's chariot directly towards the passage at an astonishing speed. Rumble. The purpose of the 3 formations was to temporarily restrain the demon court so that they could deal with Di Shitian alone. Naturally, they had no intention of stopping him from coming out. In fact, they seemed to be letting him through directly. As soon as he rushed out of the formation, the everlasting Emperor, Reverend Apotheosis, Ancient Emperor, and the wretched Black Patriarch appeared in all directions, trapping him in the middle. It was as if the space around him had been completely sealed. A terrifying pressure filled every inch of the space. He, kid with the surname Di, today, the 4 of us will attack at the same time. Let's see what you can do. Without the demon court of Lingxiao, today will be the day you die. The Black Demon Patriarch's eyes shone coldly as he stared at Sakura. At the same time, he glanced at the Celestial Emperor's chariot with a hint of greed in his eyes. This was a top-grade innate spiritual treasure, and there weren't many of them in the world. Humph. The reason why the demon race is able to make a comeback is because of you, a monster. Today, we will kill you completely. We, the human race, are the eternal protagonists of this world. Venerable God Seal coldly glanced at Sakura. His voice revealed a strong killing intent that couldn't be concealed. He was really scheming for the human race. The rise of the demon race was the most disadvantageous to the human race, and he wanted to nip this in the bud. Demon Emperor, I'm afraid you wouldn't have guessed that you've come to the WN Show Imperial Dynasty into a tiger's den. Today, no matter how powerful you are, you won't be able to escape from the 4 of us. The everlasting great emperor looked like he was going to bully Di Shitian with his numbers, and his face was filled with hostility. A terrifying light shot out from his eyes. They didn't hide their methods. So what if they were going to bully Di Shitian with numbers? In this world, only the winner had the right to laugh out loud. So what if my reputation is damaged? As long as the result is what I want, that's enough. Humph. Everlasting great emperor, since I dared to issue a challenge in advance, why would I be afraid of you asking for help? Sakura swept his gaze across the surroundings and ridiculed in disdain. You want to compete with me on whose side has more peerless experts? If you like this work, you're welcome to come to Chijian. Come to vote. Your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 1033. When Sakura issued the battle invitation in advance, it was almost obvious that he was giving Great Emperor Wn show time to prepare for the battle and ask for help from all sides. Since he had already anticipated such a situation and still came without any change, how could he not have a complete plan and a way to deal with it? Looking at the 4 peerless experts around him, he could feel an extremely powerful aura from them. It was not something that those who had just stepped into the realm of peerless experts could compare with. Each of them was extremely powerful. For example, the Black Demon Old Ancestor and Emperor Wn Shou were both in the later stages of peerless experts. Venerable Fengshen had accumulated a lot of strength and had reached the peak of the middle stages of peerless experts after his breakthrough. His battle strength was not inferior to any of the other experts. Moreover, the ancient Emperor Wn Shou's cultivation was unfathomable and unpredictable. It was obvious that he was a peerless expert at the peak of the peerless experts. Could it be that you have external help? The Black Demon Old Ancestor sneered with disdain between his brows. Don't think that I don't know about the matters of the demon race. Although there are ancient demon gods in the demon race, they are all in a deep slumber. They won't come out of seclusion unless it's a critical moment. Without the ancient demon gods of the demon race, even if you can prove your Tao with your own strength, no one in the demon court can become an ancient demon god. Trying to bluff me? You're just making a fool of yourself. There was no sign of trust on his face at all. How could he not know about the situation of the demon race? Even if they were to rise, it would only be for a short period of time. It was impossible for them to prove their Tao and become a demon god in such a short period of time. In his heart, he was almost certain that Di Shitian was just bluffing. It was impossible for him to get help from a peerless expert. No matter what you say today, you won't be able to escape from death. Emperor Wn Shou sneered, but for some reason, he felt a little uneasy in his heart. He was secretly worried. After all, Di Shitian had issued a challenge in advance, which made him feel a little worried. As far as he knew, the Shifter Emperor was not a fool. It was impossible for him to openly declare war when he clearly had no trump cards. You want to bully me with numbers? Let's see who's bullying me with numbers today. Di Shitian stood on the Celestial Emperor's chariot with a cold smile and said, "Let us welcome the Elven Queen." Whoosh. As soon as he finished speaking, a strong aura of nature suddenly filled the void. The Elven Queen, who was wearing a green elven armor, appeared in the void out of thin air. Countless flowers bloomed, and on the ground, flowers and trees grew rapidly. It was as if spring had suddenly arrived, emitting a natural fragrance. It was like she controlled the great Tao of nature. Her armor perfectly accentuated the curves of her entire body, giving off a natural, mature, and boundless charm. In his hand, he held an elven scepter with natural patterns on it. The scepter was inlaid with a 7-colored crystal, which flashed with mysterious daoist rhymes. He wore a 5-colored crown on his head. As soon as she appeared, her surroundings seemed to have become a natural domain. Greetings, Monster Emperor. The Elven Queen glanced around with her beautiful eyes. Then, she nodded at Di Shitian with a smile and bowed gratefully. You don't have to be so polite, Your Majesty. Thank you for your hard work this time. Di Shitian nodded. At the same time, he shouted into the void again, "Let us welcome Tian Yunzi." As soon as he finished speaking, in the void, a snow-white auspicious cloud appeared out of nowhere. On the auspicious cloud, a middle-aged man in a white robe stood quietly in the clouds, exuding a mysterious Daoist rhyme of the unity of heaven and man. It was as if he was constantly merged with heaven and earth. It was Tian Yunzi, the clan leader of the heavenly human tribe. He was holding a snow-white horsetail whisk in his hand. His face was expressionless as he stood there calmly, as if he was just an ordinary person. There was no trace of aura on him. It was just that the void around him seemed to be moving with him as the center. You are the legendary elven queen of the Five Elements elf tribe. Rumor has it that the Five Elements elf tribe has mysteriously disappeared since ancient times. There hasn't been any news about them for hundreds of thousands of years. Venerable Feng Shen's pupils constricted violently. He stared at the elven queen and sensed the hidden aura exuding from her body. His expression turned solemn. He could sense that the elven queen who appeared out of nowhere before him was definitely not someone to be trifled with. He could clearly sense an invisible threat from her. Oneness of heaven and man? This is a divine ability that only the heavenly human tribe has. The ancient emperor had been silent all this while. When he saw Tian Yunzi, his face turned solemn and he spat out a sentence. In his mind, a powerful race that had disappeared along with the elf tribe came to mind. It was a race that could be ranked in the top 10 of all races, the heavenly human tribe. The elven tribe and the heavenly human tribe have disappeared for countless years. How could they be related to the monster tribe? Why would they appear at this time? Could it be that they want to fight for the 3 lists and 1 scroll? All kinds of thoughts flashed through the ancient emperor's mind. He had a feeling that it would not be as easy as he had imagined. No one had expected that the monster emperor would have the ability to bring the extinct tribes back to the purple gold mainland. Judging from the situation, it seemed that they had a very special relationship. However, it seemed that they were enemies rather than friends. 3 of them. Almost in an instant, Sakra's side, which originally looked weak, actually had 2 more peerless powerhouses. Moreover, the identities of these 2 powerhouses were actually from the legendary races that had already disappeared. All the spectators were dumbfounded. In an instant, they spread the news in all directions as fast as they could. Oh my God, the sky is falling this time. How could this be? The elven tribe and the heavenly human tribe, these 2 tribes that were rumored to be extinct, have suddenly appeared. They were powerful tribes in ancient times, especially the heavenly human tribe. Legend has it that they were a tribe that was manifested by the heavenly way. They were a tribe that possessed the heavenly way's bloodline. The heavenly human tribe and the elven tribe have returned at the same time. This news must be spread to the tribe as soon as possible. If these 2 tribes return, it will definitely cause a huge change in the 100 tribes. The monster emperor can actually get in touch with these 2 tribes. What kind of existence is he? In ancient times, no one could find the elven tribe and the heavenly human tribe. 3 against 4, they are evenly matched. It seems that the ancient emperor and the others will not be able to suppress the monster emperor's side easily. I'm afraid that their plan to bully the monster emperor with numbers is going to be ruined. The All Heavens cultivators who were secretly spying on the development of the battle felt their minds go blank. They had never imagined that a race that was rumored to be extinct would suddenly appear in the middle of this battle. In an instant, everyone went crazy. The news in front of them spread rapidly in all directions. The Elven Queen and the Heavenly Human Tribe. I didn't expect a monster like you to find such allies. However, for against 3, we still have a chance of winning, Venerable Lord Seal said with a grave expression. The Elven Queen's cultivation base was at the late stage of the unparalleled realm, while Tian Yunzi's cultivation base was at the peak of the unparalleled realm. However, compared to the ancient emperor's side, they were still at a disadvantage. Is that so? At this moment, an inexplicable voice suddenly emerged from the ground without any warning. There was no emotion in that voice, but it contained a chilling coldness. It was as if a cold wind had blown past, and the coldness was bone-chilling. It was as if it could seep into one's bones. It made people feel as if they were in the underworld. Even their scalps were slightly numb. My goodness, could it be that there are helpers? The voice came from the ground. Could it be an almighty from the underworld? Look, what a huge vortex. What a huge nether ghost spring. Following the appearance of that voice, the curiosity of countless people was piqued. All of them swept their gazes over the ground. Even Di Shitian couldn't help but secretly reveal a hint of bewilderment in his mind. This time, the helpers he invited didn't come from the ground. Could it be him? A stalwart figure suddenly appeared in his mind, and he couldn't help but feel overjoyed. Rumble. In a huge wasteland, a vast amount of netherworld chi suddenly gushed out from the ground like a tide. It was as if a huge yellow springs road had been opened up from the ground. Countless pitch-black nether chi gushed out like a fountain, forming a pitch-black vortex on the ground. After the vortex was formed, it rapidly expanded in all directions at an astonishing speed. In the blink of an eye, it had reached hundreds of thousands of meters wide. In the vortex, a huge ancient city with a gloomy ghost chi broke through the air and shuttled through the vortex. The moment the ancient city appeared, it immediately soared into the sky and appeared in the void. Countless ghost god drawings flickered on the city walls, and a terrifying aura surrounded the entire ancient city. In the city, there were no normal buildings, only strange ancient tombs of various sizes. Countless ghosts were shuttling through the tombs. On the city walls, a ghost army was patrolling in all directions. On the ancient city, a few gloomy ancient words appeared: Fengju. Fengju. It was the legendary Fengju Ghost City, one of the most mysterious ancient cities in the underworld. Fengju Ghost City? Could it be him? How is that possible? Didn't that person already fight against the demon emperor-level powerhouses of the demon gods in ancient times and perish together? How could he appear again? At this moment, when the ancient emperor and the others saw the appearance of Fengju Ghost City, they couldn't help but exclaim. In an instant, their faces turned green. They cursed in their hearts. Just what kind of a monster is this demon emperor? Forget about the heavenly human tribe and the elf tribe, he even brought out this one. Monster, what a monster. They were filled with regret. Initially, they had wanted to see Di Shitian make a fool of himself. They didn't think that he would be able to find any decent powerful beings. To think that the ones he found would be even more ferocious than the previous. They were just beast. To be continued. If you like this work, you're welcome to come to Chidian.com to vote for me. Your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 1034. TSK. While the Netherworld Ghost Spring spewed out endless Netherworld chi, countless ghost souls and ghost cultivators swarmed out like a tidal wave. They crowded around the ancient city and shuttled back and forth, letting out waves of eerie and terrifying ghost cries. The vast ghost chi gathered in the void, dyeing the entire sky black. It was as if one was suddenly immersed in darkness. The eerie ghost chi caused the temperature in the air to drop to the freezing point, bringing with it a bone-chilling cold. The surrounding area turned into a ghastly ghost domain that even light could not penetrate. The entire Fengju city was like a gloomy gate of hell. It brought endless pressure. In Fengju city, one could clearly see two huge ghost cultivators standing on the city wall. One had an ox head, and the other had a horse face. Their bodies emitted a sharp ghost power. A judge held a judge's pen in his hand and scanned the surroundings impartially. Roar roar. In the ancient city, a monstrous ghost flame suddenly burst out. Two dragon roars that sounded like they came from the netherworld could be heard. Two huge black true dragons soared into the sky from the ancient city, their bodies emitting dense ghost chi. One was wearing a black emperor's robe, a flat imperial crown on his head, and a netherworld jade belt. His face was square and well-defined. His face was dignified without being angry, and there was a strange mark in the shape of an axe between his brows. In contrast, he exuded an endless majesty. The two corpse dragons were stepped on by his feet and were connected to him. His long black hair moved without wind and danced wantonly. His eyes revealed an incomparably deep gaze. Brother Fengju, I didn't expect this small matter of mine to alarm you. Di Shitian looked at the dignified ghost emperor of Fengju, who had an inexplicable aura, and couldn't help but nod to himself. The corners of his mouth pulled into a smile, and he said, after this battle, You and I will get drunk in the Jade Pool. He knew that the current Ghost Emperor of Fengdu was not like in ancient times. His strength was probably even more powerful and terrifying. Back then, he had personally witnessed the Ghost Emperor using the blood lamp in the spiritual coffin to fuse his ghost body with the corpse chi, turning into one of the most miraculous physiques in the world, the ghost body. It was formed from the essence of the ghost path and the corpse path. Those two corpse dragons were probably the ghostly nether dragons that were born with the ghostly body. Since brother Di Shitian is in trouble, how can I just stand by and watch? Ever since the ancient times, I've been wanting to exercise my muscles and bones. Fengdu Ghost Emperor looked at Di Shitian and felt the boundless power that flowed out from his body. He nodded to himself and said calmly. He was also very satisfied with Di Shitian's achievements. Fengdu Ghost Emperor? At this moment, the Black Demon Patriarch's face turned green as he stared at the Fengdu Ghost Monarch. He had never thought that a demon monarch without any background would be able to invite so many terrifying helpers, especially the Fengdu Ghost Monarch, who was a notorious and terrifying existence in ancient times. An ancient existence that had been confirmed to be dead and missing had actually appeared here. Now, they were even more certain that the Shifter Emperor was AF** King Monster. The extinct ancients could be reborn because of him, and the fallen great divines could appear out of nowhere because of him. He was simply a demon in disguise. Hiss. At this moment, the All Heavens cultivators' eyeballs almost fell out of their sockets. They were secretly astonished. The Fengdu Ghost Emperor is an ancestor-level existence in the Ghost Clan. Legend has it that he's a fallen almighty. Rumors really can't be trusted. There's finally a good show to watch. The Shifter Emperor, the Fengdu Ghost Emperor, the Elven Queen, and Tian Yunzi. These are the four unparalleled experts. They're completely on par with the Longevity Great Emperor and the rest in terms of numbers. This time, I'm afraid the world will collapse and the universe will be turned upside down. We have to spread the news quickly. The Demon Clan isn't as weak as we thought. They have endless potential. With the support of so many powerful clans, their rise will be unstoppable. Streams of divine consciousness spread out rapidly in the void, spreading back to all the major forces. In the blink of an eye, they had spread out. However, the cultivators' eyes were fixed on the development of the battle without blinking. They were slightly excited. One should know that this was a battle between great divines. They might not be able to see it with their own eyes even once in a million years. If he could see it, perhaps it would bring unparalleled benefits to his cultivation realm. How could they miss it? Longevity Great Emperor, your subordinates kidnapped my family back then. Today, we'll settle the score. Today, I'll kill you. Di Shitian glanced at the Longevity Great Emperor with a cold smile. The purple-gold judgment battle spear in his hand glowed with endless divine light, vaguely revealing the divine charm of heaven and earth. The Celestial Emperor's chariot shook suddenly. The primordial 9 dragons stared coldly at the Longevity Great Emperor's figure. Light flashed on his face, and a purple-gold Ultimate Emperor mask covered his face. It exuded a vast majestic aura. Di Shitian, you killed my son, Cheng Shou. Today, I'll settle the blood debt with you. The everlasting immortal emperor had a cold expression on his face as he scolded impolitely. With a flash of light, a golden glove appeared in his hand. This glove contained a wild and destructive energy that was abnormally violent. The golden lines intertwined with each other, forming a destructive Dao rhythm. The moment the glove was worn and clenched into a fist, it immediately emitted an unparalleled will that could destroy everything. Fist. His weapon was his fists. He firmly believed that his fists could smash all his enemies into smithereens, shatter them, and destroy everything. Above his head, a golden Emperor's pagoda appeared. There were 9 levels to the Emperor's pagoda. On the pagoda's body, there were 9 ferocious dragons that looked alive. At the top of the pagoda, there was a golden dragon pearl. It fused with the Emperor's pagoda. It was his personal treasure, the ancient Emperor's pagoda, 10,000 beasts Emperor Dragon Fist. The Longevity Great Emperor stepped on a giant dragon and charged towards Di Shitian without fear. His right hand clenched into a fist, and a wild emperor's chi poured into his fist. His expression was cold and arrogant as he punched towards Di Shitian. 10,000 beasts Emperor Dragon Fist, Lightning Dragon Purgatory, Rumble. As he punched out, thousands of fist forces shot out, turning into lifelike lightning dragons. Each lightning dragon contained boundless lightning energy, accompanied by boundless lightning. Each lightning dragon was abnormally condensed, and the terrifying power contained within could easily crush an ancient giant. The thousands of lightning dragons were like a tide, filling every inch of the void. Countless lightning bolts intertwined, and wherever they went, it would turn into a lightning purgatory. It was filled with destructive power. It whistled as it blasted towards Sakura, wanting to engulf him into this thunder dragon purgatory that was filled with destruction. This punch contained the will of an emperor. Everywhere it passed, the space around it distorted. It erupted with a destructive force that rushed over crazily like it was crushing dry weeds and smashing rotten wood. If it was an ancient giant standing in front of him, they probably wouldn't even have the will to resist this punch. They would be smashed to smithereens in an instant. The Emperor's Tao was domineering, unstoppable, and filled with destruction. Long live Great Emperor, you humans betrayed the alliance in the ancient times, betrayed your trust and betrayed your benefactor. You have no merits, yet you stole the position of the main character of the world. I am the Demon Emperor, and I am in charge of judgment. Any living creature in the Purple Goldland will be judged. Such a treacherous, disloyal, and heartless person, how can you have the face to live in this world? Today, this emperor will judge you. Long live Great Emperor, you must die. Di Shitian's words were like pearls, sonorous and powerful, and carried the supreme dignity of a judge. With every word he spoke, his energy grew more and more domineering. Seeing the tyrannical emperor's fist coming at him, he opened his eyes wide and released a sharp will. He raised the judgment battle spear in his hand, and the surrounding chi of heaven and earth rushed into the spear crazily. The 129,600 ultimate emperor talismans around his body spat out endless mighty power. The muscles on his arms rippled like dragons. Rumble. With a flick of his arm, the judgment spear smashed toward Emperor Eon. The void trembled violently. 9 strikes of judgment, execution. Humans are guilty, treacherous, disloyal, heartless, and heartless. They shall be executed. Judgment, judgment. Humans shall be judged. Countless figures emerged from the battle spear like a tide. As soon as these figures appeared, they all revealed a crazed look. They questioned the human clan, despised the human clan, and made declarations of judgment. Countless shouts converged into an indestructible will of judgment in the blink of an eye. Then, they converged on the spear. Bam! Bam! The Judgment War spear carried boundless willpower as it blasted out, colliding violently with those destructive lightning dragons. On the spot, one after another, the lightning dragons violently exploded, bursting out a destructive force that unceasingly collided with the war spear. It seemed that the war spear's mighty power contained in it was being worn down. However, the judgment will of the battle spear was unstoppable. The lightning dragons were destroyed one by one, and the lightning dragon spear was unstoppable. The lightning dragon spear appeared in front of the Emperor of Longevity's fist. Without the slightest hesitation, the spear slammed into the golden fist. Rumble. As the two collided, the void around them began to twist and distort. What's going on? The moment the spear came into contact with him, the expression on the Emperor's face changed. His heart was filled with shock. The instant the Judgment War spear came crashing down, he could clearly sense a terrifying will from the spear. Even the heaven and earth around him were rejecting him madly. It was as if he had been abandoned by heaven and earth, and couldn't absorb the vital energy of heaven and earth. Countless cries of judgment rang out in his mind. Countless living beings were denouncing the humans. Heaven and earth were spurning and crushing them. Boundless pressure came crashing down on him from all directions. Even his will seemed to have suffered a terrifying impact. His aura weakened, and his entire body involuntarily flew back. To be continued. If you like this work, you're welcome to vote for me at chidian.com. Your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 1035. In an instant, it was as though he was condemned by the masses, spurned by the heavens and earth. The heavens and earth were rejecting him, and the void around him seemed to have turned into a sturdy cage, trapping the longevity great emperor within. At the same time, his will was being attacked by countless attacks. Especially the judgment power that burst out from the judgment battle spear, it seemed to be fatal to the human race. It was almost unstoppable and unstoppable. Rumble. Under the attack of the Judgment War spear, the Emperor of Longevity was sent flying back. The space around him was distorted and vibrated violently. However, his face was as pale as ash. No, the human race is born with a Tao body, and we are the main characters of the heavens and earth. This is the choice of the heavens and earth. How can the human race be spurned by the heavens and earth? How can the human race be judged? I, the Longevity Great Emperor, broke through the heavens and earth, and became an unparalleled expert. The heavens and earth can't judge me. Break. The Longevity Great Emperor's eyes were filled with madness, and he let out a furious roar. He could clearly feel the terrifying threat from the Judgment Battle Spear. It could actually judge him. However, as an emperor, he wouldn't panic because of this. He immediately came back to his senses, and a ferocious look appeared on his face. He raised his fist again and punched forward. The fist contained an incomparably overbearing emperor's will. As the fist blasted out, the space under the fist collapsed. However, it still did not collapse completely. The purple-gold continent spatial barrier was so strong that it couldn't be any stronger. Thousand Beast Emperor Dragon Fist, 5 elements reversal. Rumble. The golden fist punched out, and the force that burst out immediately turned into 5 types of true dragons, with the 5 elements of metal, wood, water, fire, and earth. The 5 types of dragons intertwined, and in a reverse way, they crushed the entire void. The 5 elements reversed, and with the boundless dominance of the Emperor's Tao, the entire space was crushed under the fist at a speed visible to the naked eye. Longevity Great Emperor, don't even think about escaping today. You can't escape from the judgment. Judgment 9 strikes, immortal slaying. Di Shitian saw the Longevity Great Emperor's monstrous fighting strength, and that he could even shatter the void with a punch. He wasn't afraid at all, and a furious face appeared on his mask. He brandished the judgment spear in his hand once again and blasted it out. Countless voices of judgment rang out again, and a terrifying torrent of immortal slaying will coalesced within the battle spear. It was as if no immortal would be able to escape from the spear. Images of countless immortals being pierced through by the spears appeared. Large swaths of immortals fell like raindrops, completely annihilated. Judgment. That was the right. This was the supreme authority of the Celestial Emperor. Wherever the spear pointed, all would be judged under the spear. Rumble. The spear collided violently with Emperor Wan Shou's fist once more. Immediately, a terrifying crack appeared in the surrounding space. The power of the 5 elements reversal actually managed to block the Judgment Spear. Just as the Judgment Spear was about to hit Emperor Longevity, the Emperor's pagoda above his head unleashed 9 lifelike dragons that coiled around him, shattering the Judgment Spear. Even so, the Emperor of Longevity still couldn't help but be sent flying backward. Every inch of the surrounding void was filled with endless will. It was enough to force an ancient overlord to the ground. Bursts of rumbling sounds spread out in all directions like a tide. Ha ha. Black Demon Patriarch, you're full of murderous intent. You're at odds with the heavenly Tao. Today, Tian Yunzi would like to ask for your guidance. While Di Shitian and Emperor Wan Shou were fighting, Tian Yunzi glanced at the Black Demon Patriarch, whose body was shrouded in murderous intent. His eyes flashed with a strange light. After he finished speaking, he suddenly stretched out his right hand. At the same time, he stretched out a finger. That finger suddenly turned purple like a crystal. Countless mysterious Tao runes were drawn on it. It was as if the mighty power of the heavenly Tao had gathered on that finger in an instant. Yet, it didn't carry the slightest bit of worldly energy. Just like that, He casually jabbed his finger at the Black Demon Patriarch. In the process of thrusting out, his entire finger seemed to have entered the heavenly Tao in an instant. His body perfectly merged with the heavens and the earth. It seemed slow, but in fact, it was unbelievably fast. Finger of Heaven. Seeing this, the Black Demon Patriarch's face darkened. The Finger of Heaven was a peerless combat skill of the heavenly human tribe. Legend had it that it was a supreme combat skill passed down from the birth of the heavenly Tao before it was destroyed. It had the infinite power to pierce through heaven and earth. It could borrow the power of the heavenly Tao when it was used. There were 3,000 great paths. When the celestial finger was used, the mighty power that the heavenly path poured into the finger, and even the power of the great path, was targeted at the target. If the power in the target's body leaned towards darkness, then the power in the finger would instantly turn into light and holiness. It had an incomparable restraining effect on the opponent. Moreover, the Finger of Heaven was extremely mysterious. The power in the finger could change at will. It could display different powers against different enemies. It was almost the most terrifying combat skill in the world. There was almost no flaw to be found. Humph. Tian Yunzi, I, the Black Demon Patriarch, am not afraid of you. Sin Blade. Although the Black Demon Patriarch was extremely afraid of the Finger of Heaven, he did not intend to show any weakness. A light flashed in his hand, and a pitch-black blade appeared. It looked like a saber and a sword. It looked extremely sharp, and countless images of sins appeared on the blade. Holding the blade of sin in his hand, it emitted a sharp cold light. He waved it casually, and the blade drew a mysterious trajectory in the void, cutting toward the finger. He swore to himself, Finger of Heaven, I'll cut off your finger today. Let's see how you can use it. Clang. The purple finger and the blade of sin collided with each other. There was a crisp sound between the two, which was extremely strange. Bursts of holy, bright, and blazing aura burst out from the finger. There was a faint flicker of Buddha's light that rushed towards the blade of sin. Boom. Boom. In just an instant, screams were heard from the blade of sin. It was as if countless evil souls were being completely purified or even shattered in an instant. At the same time, a domineering force gushed out from the Finger of Heaven and poured into the Black Demon Patriarch's body through the sin blade. The Black Demon Patriarch looked as if he had been struck by lightning. His face turned unnaturally red, and he was forced to retreat by the finger. Tian Yunzi and the Black Demon Patriarch exchanged blows. The Black Demon Patriarch was at a disadvantage almost instantly. At the same time, the Elven Queen wasn't idle either. Her eyes turned and fell on Venerable Fengshen. A natural smile appeared on her face as the seven-colored crystal on the scepter in her hand flickered with dazzling divine splendor. Swish. She waved the elf scepter forward. Immediately, the boundless metal yuan qi in the surrounding area gathered towards the scepter like a tide. At the same time, numerous golden crescent-shaped blades shot out from the scepter like a tide. In the blink of an eye, countless golden blades gathered crazily and rapidly spun in front of the scepter. Each blade contained endless sharpness. Wherever he went, he could see terrifying saber scars in the void. It seemed as if it was going to cut the entire void apart. These blades instantly condensed into a terrifying tornado, forming a vortex. The vortex rotated, driving the blades, causing the cutting power of the blades to increase by 10 times, or even 100 times, crazily. In the blink of an eye, a golden storm that connected heaven and earth swept toward Venerable Feng like an angry dragon. Humph, rumor has it that the Five Elements elf clan is born with extraordinary control over the Five Elements power. Today, this Venerable wants to experience it for himself. Star-striking whip. Starlight flashed in Venerable Feng's hand, and a long whip that was emitting dazzling starlight appeared. It was condensed from stars and looked like a string of pearls. Looking at the long whip, it was unknown how many stars were used to condense it. Every inch of the whip contained a vast amount of star energy. With a twist of his wrist, the star-striking whip lashed out at the whistling storm coming at him. Rumble. The void shook violently. There was a loud roar. Ancient Great Emperor. At this moment, The Ghost Emperor of Fengdu narrowed his eyes at the ancient Great Emperor, who had been indifferent all this while. A meaningful look flashed across his eyes. Fengdu Ghost Emperor. The ancient emperor put all his attention on the supreme Ghost Emperor in front of him with a solemn expression. He could clearly feel a strong pressure from the supreme Ghost Emperor that swept toward him continuously. He felt a strong threat from the supreme Ghost Emperor. Rumble. The 8 unparalleled Almighties made the void shake violently with a terrifying roar. The earth quaked and the mountains shook as if the entire world was about to be turned upside down. Every inch of the collision produced a destructive force that instantly crushed every inch of the buildings in the surroundings. However, in the midst of the fierce battle, all of a sudden, a boundless pressure came from the void. Under that pressure, Di Shitian, the Black Demon Patriarch, and the others couldn't help but smell a trace of death. Vaguely, he felt like he was an ant. It was as if they had suddenly seen the legendary sovereign's order. In the void, along with the pressure, the purple heaven-toppling ancient painting that had been hidden in the void suddenly appeared again. However, the part that appeared happened to cover the area where the Wanshou Empire was. An extremely mysterious power was released from the ancient painting, and it suddenly shrouded Di Shitian and the other unparalleled Almighties. Following that, the scene in front of them changed. When they opened their eyes again, they were already in an unfamiliar area. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to Chidian.com to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 1036. The scene of Di Shitian and the other 8 peerless experts being swallowed by the heaven-toppling ancient painting also brought endless shock to the people watching in the dark. Some were dumbfounded. They secretly let out cries of disbelief. How is this possible? The heaven-toppling ancient painting actually pulled the Shifter Emperor, Emperor Wanshou, and the others into the ancient painting. Could it be that their battle caused too much damage to the purple gold mainland, so the heaven-toppling ancient painting pulled them in and let them fight in the painting? To avoid breaking the rules of the purple gold mainland. My goodness, the battle just now really scared me to death. 9 strikes of judgment. Legend has it that in ancient times, an incredible heavenly emperor's war chariot was once built. This war chariot was a gift to the Shifter race. There were 2 war spears on it, one of which was the Judgment Spear, and the other was the Demon Slayer Spear. The Judgment Spear represented the power bestowed by all living beings. Any living being under the Judgment War Spear would be greatly suppressed. The Demon Slayer Spear represented the responsibility of the demon god. Looking at the situation just now, the Shifter Emperor was actually using the Judgment Spear to punish Emperor Wanshou. Moreover, Emperor Wanshou also seemed to be greatly restrained. My goodness, doesn't this mean that anyone who stands opposite to the Shifter Emperor will be greatly suppressed once they fight? TSK, 8 peerless experts. This is a world-shaking battle that is rarely seen even in ancient times. This time, it's really going to break the heavens. Who knows? There might be peerless experts who will fall. Whether it's the Shifter Emperor or Emperor Wanshou, they will definitely not allow the other to continue to live. Almost in an instant, everyone had already secretly sorted out the various patterns in their minds. In their minds, they were also secretly guessing the outcome of the fierce battle between the 8 peerless experts. Unconsciously, they raised their heads to look at the void. In the void, they could clearly see that the heaven-toppling ancient painting that was previously hidden had actually reappeared. However, the entire ancient painting was shrouded in layers of purple mist. It made it impossible for people to see the scene in the ancient painting. At this moment, on an auspicious cloud in the distance, the sloppy know-it-all had strangely straightened his body, and there were traces of domineering will constantly flowing around his body. Unknowingly, his eyes had already transformed into a golden color. It seems that the Shifter Emperor's methods are indeed extraordinary. He has quietly drawn in the Celestial Clan and the 5 Elements Fairy Clan, which have disappeared for many years. He even has such a relationship with the Ghost Emperor of Fengdu. I'm afraid that this battle, you don't need to participate. The Demon Lord glanced indifferently at Know-it-all and calmly said, TSK. As expected of the emperor. The know-it-all laughed weirdly, nodded slightly, and praised. In ancient times, this ghost emperor Fengju was rumored to be one of the 9 great divines who had the highest chance of becoming a ruler. Legend has it that he knows the whereabouts of a divine tomb. Since he didn't die in the ancient era, his chances of becoming a sovereign in the future are much higher. When he, of the hymn, when he is emperor ghost ancient, emperor. Clearly, he was not ordinary. However, after a pause, his tone changed, and he said again, although the Celestial Clan, the 5 Elements Fairy Clan, and even the Ghost Emperor of Fengju have come to help, I have a feeling that this time, the human clan will not give up. The 10 great immortal sects have suffered great losses at the hands of the Shifter Emperor. This time, they will definitely not let go of such a good opportunity. Once they reveal a flaw, they will immediately suffer a thunderous blow. Although the current situation seemed to be in Di Shitian's favor, the hidden danger was also an existence that could not be ignored. This was also the reason why Know-it-all did not appear rashly at all. Rumble. At this moment, in the 3 ultimate arrays, the vast demon court suddenly shook. The 4 heavenly gates condensed an illusory heavenly gate at a speed visible to the naked eye, and directly collided with the ultimate arrays. Ding ding ding. In the sky above the ancient city, a vast pressure like that of the heavenly Tao appeared out of thin air. 3,000 illusory great Taos quickly appeared in the void and gathered in the middle in an instant. In the blink of an eye, the 3,000 great Taos merged perfectly in a strange trajectory. Amidst the heavenly sounds of the great Tao, a crystal-clear jade archive condensed out of thin air. On the jade archive, countless mysterious Tao patterns were densely distributed on every inch of the jade archive. Swoosh swoosh swoosh. The moment the jade archive appeared, the entire jade archive slowly rotated in the sky above the ancient city at a speed visible to the naked eye. As it rotated, it immediately emitted an extremely overbearing and powerful suction force, as if it had instantly transformed into an extremely terrifying black hole. It crazily covered the entire ultimate arrays. Immediately, the power of countless stars, Tao patterns, and great Tao fragments in the surroundings were constantly being plundered into the jade archive. The huge celestial crystal god ceiling stele that was blocked in the demon court was held up by the jade archive, and a large amount of chaotic divine flames spewed out from the jade archive. It covered the entire god ceiling stele and incessantly burned and tempered it. Countless beast souls in the surroundings rushed to the front of the demon court and self-destructed one after another, erupting with terrifying destructive power. Every one of them could make an ancient giant's face turn green. However, when they bombarded the demon court, they were instantly crushed by the 4-sided heavenly gate. They were unable to shake the defense of the 4-sided heavenly gate at all. As for the beast soul fragments formed by the self-destruction, they were immediately sucked into the jade archive at an astonishing speed after it appeared. The chains of sin that permeated the great array formed the sin talisman in the ancient city. Every chain was devoured by the jade archive at an astonishing speed. Demon Empress, I wonder what we should do now. Who looked respectfully at Chen Shi, who was sitting upright, with a hint of reverence between his brows. At the moment before he ascended the throne, Chen Shi waved his hand and instantly turned a sky demon into a magnificent scene. The scene had long been deeply imprinted in the minds of all the important officials. Their respect for Chen Shi was not fake at all. The 5 armies are fighting in all directions. With the strength of the Wen-shou imperial dynasty, they will definitely not be able to resist. The demon court is guarded by the 4-sided heavenly gates. There is no danger of the city being breached. This great array is an opportunity to strengthen the demon court. For the time being, there is no need to rush out and break out of the array. Chen Shi had Di Shitian's authorization, so naturally, he could clearly feel the opportunity for the demon court to strengthen itself. Devouring everything to strengthen itself. Once these 3 killing arrays were completely devoured, it would be enough to completely perfect the array talismans, star talismans, and beast talismans in the Imperial Jade Archive. Perfecting 3 great Taos at once, such an opportunity naturally could not be missed. Perfecting a great Tao was a form of tempering for the demon court. Yes, Your Highness. When Hu and the other important officials heard this, they did not question it. After pondering for a while, they all respectfully agreed. Kill. 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 At that moment, the 5 armies that had been sent out were moving towards the Wensho imperial dynasty at an astonishing speed. Wherever they passed, almost all the civilians were killed instantly. The ordinary civilians were like ants in front of the 5 Forces Legion, which was composed of ancient demon saint-level demon soldiers. They did not have the slightest ability to resist and were instantly wiped out. Although there were millions of cultivators in the celestial cities, they were unable to do anything. Even if these cultivators gathered together, they were not much of a threat to the 5 armies. With just one charge, the entire celestial cities were smashed into pieces. They were completely defeated. Everywhere they passed, blood splattered on the ground like rain, dyeing the ground blood-red. The thick smell of blood filled every inch of the void. It was like smoke rising into the sky, gathering into terrifying blood clouds in the void. Countless screams rose and fell, turning the entire territory into a living hell. Wherever the 5 legions passed, nothing was left behind, not even a blade of grass. Kill. 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 Di Shitian only gave one order to the Wensho imperial dynasty, and that was to kill. If he wanted to kill, he wanted to kill thoroughly and cleanly. In a war between races, there was no right or wrong. Killing was the only criterion. Thinking back to the ancient era, when the human race wiped out the demon race, it was definitely not much worse than this. The total number of demon race in the ancient era was close to 1 trillion. Even though more than half of the demon race had died in the war against the demon god, the remaining weak demon race was still huge. However, under the massacre of the human race, almost all of them were killed. An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, blood for blood. How could Di Shitian have any compassion or sympathy for the human race? Moreover, the Wensho imperial dynasty rose to power by selling spiritual beasts and demonic beasts. It is said that the Wensho imperial dynasty has trained 5 top-notch Dao soldiers that are not inferior to any sect. One is the Barbarian Bull Army, one is the Skyhorse Army, one is the Blade Army, one is the Viper Army, and one is the Thunder Eagle Army. Every one of them is extremely terrifying. I am afraid that in the end, the 5 armies of the Demon Court will definitely encounter these 5 top-notch Dao soldiers. Blood flows like a river. This is really blood flows like a river. Everywhere they pass, there is not a single survivor. They are going to wipe out the Wensho imperial dynasty. This is really the demon race taking revenge. They are avenging the ancient era. Countless cultivators who witnessed the massacre of the 5 armies could not help but twitch the corners of their mouths. Ever since the ancient era, there had never been such a huge massacre. There was a faint trace of fear towards the demon court. At this moment, Di Shitian, who was swept into the ancient heaven-toppling painting, instantly turned around. This is the ancient heaven-toppling painting? Di Shitian stood on the heavenly emperor's war chariot and quickly scanned his surroundings. Around him, there was a vast mountain range that extended up and down. These mountain ranges were full of wonders. There were flowers, plants, and trees everywhere. It was as if he had entered an unfamiliar paradise. At this moment, a piece of information appeared in his mind. After absorbing all of it, he could not help but be slightly stunned. The ancient heaven-toppling painting is divided into 4 levels, corresponding to the 3 roles and 1 chart. This is the heavenly realm. The information that entered his mind had already transmitted the basic information of the ancient heaven-toppling painting to the bottom of his heart. It turned out that the ancient heaven-toppling painting had indeed appeared for the 3 roles and 1 chart. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to Chidien.com to vote for me. Your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 1037. It was divided into 4 levels: human realm, earth realm, heaven realm, and fragrant realm. Among them, the heaven realm was the most unique. It was almost impossible to interfere in the battles of the other realms. It could not enter the other 3 realms and could only move about in the heaven realm. As for the other 2 realms, The heaven realm did not allow other realms to interfere in the battle of the 3 lists and 1 chart. However, the fragrant realm was an extremely unique place. Even if it was the human realm, as long as it was a woman and met the requirements to enter the fragrant realm, she could enter it. Even the heaven realm could enter the fragrant realm. However, killing was not allowed in the fragrant realm. Once entered, the fragrant realm would automatically record the entry of the peerless beauty and rank her on the chart. However, if she died in the other 3 realms, her ranking in the fragrant realm would naturally disappear. Before the end, the 3 lists and 1 chart would not give any special gifts to the people on the list. This was to select the true king of the heavens' prides from the slaughter. The range of each level seemed to be boundless, and it was impossible to measure its limits. The space they were in was even more stable. Even if peerless experts were to fight inside, they would not be able to break through the heavens. Even if they were to be destroyed, the ancient map would be able to absorb boundless vital chi from the void to restore what was destroyed. This was a battlefield specially prepared for killing. 3 lists and 1 chart? I have no interest in fighting for such a boring ranking. After Di Shitian understood the use of the ancient map, he could not help but shake his head slightly and throw away all the thoughts in his mind. The 3 lists and 1 chart, to him, had long been disregarded. The rankings were just floating clouds. His eyes turned and instantly fell on the longevity Great Emperor who was also involved. The others did not seem to appear in this area. Then, a trace of cold light shot out from his eyes. However, longevity Great Emperor, you must die today. Di Shitian, don't boast shamelessly. We still don't know who will die and who will die. The longevity emperor also recovered from the shock of entering the ancient painting of heaven toppling heavens. His expression was savage and domineering. The muscles on his arms were like cages that surged crazily, spitting out vast amounts of mighty force. The supreme will of the emperor poured into his 2 fists. Thousand Beast Emperor Dragon Fist, Thunder Dragon Purgatory, 5 Elements Reversal, Yin-Yang Slash, Whirlwind, Boundless Virocana, Heavenly Emperor WN Show brought along an unparalleled aura of an emperor. Both of his fists blasted out in an overbearing manner. Punch after punch, several battle techniques were launched out, blasting towards Sakura Shitian. Rumble. Immediately, countless dragon-shaped fist forces gushed out from his fists. The Thunder Dragon turned the entire world into a purgatory of thunder. The 5 elements true dragon crushed the void like a millstone. The yin and yang dual dragons crossed each other, forming a pair of scissors. They cut down, cutting the void in half. Countless gusts of wind blew in reverse. The blazing heavenly dragon erupted with a domineering power that could incinerate all things. Wherever they passed, countless towering mountains in the surroundings would be smashed into smithereens upon contact with the fist aura. Almost instantly, the entire world seemed to be in the midst of doomsday. Every strand of pressure could cause the void to distort. No matter how you struggle, you can't escape the punishment of judgment. Di Shitian's expression remained cold. Looking at the terrifying battle fists that were roaring towards him, he could clearly feel the monstrous power that erupted from the fists. However, he had no intention of dodging. The judgment battle spear in his hand blasted out without hesitation. 9 strikes of judgment extermination, immortal extermination, immortal extermination, immortal extermination targeted the human race. The battle spear contained the supreme will of judgment of the human race. In the face of this will, it was like a devil meeting the light of Buddha. As long as one was from the human race, they would have an indescribable fear of this attack. They would not be able to fully unleash the power in their body. Immortal extermination also targeted the human race. The existence of immortals was proposed by the human race to distinguish themselves from the born Taoism body. Once they attained Taoism, they would call themselves immortals. Immortals were also one of the identities of the human race. They also had a great restraining effect on the human race. If the human race wanted to become an immortal and get rid of the human race's identity, then immortal extermination. Immortal extermination was a move that targeted not only the divine race, but also the primordial spirit and the immortal primordial spirit. It had a terrifying destructive effect on the primordial spirit. Even the immortal primordial spirit would suffer a great blow if struck. As soon as these 3 moves were unleashed, countless living beings appeared from the battle spear. They began to pray incessantly, and let out angry curses, reprimanding the human race, the immortal race, and the divine race for their sins. They formed a vast, unparalleled will. Rumble. Indra didn't care about the 1,000-beast monarch dragon fists that were bombarding him, and directly bombarded the heart of Wn Sho Great Emperor. The torrent gushing out from the battle spear instantly smashed all the fists in front of him. It seemed to be able to travel through the void and appear in front of the emperor's heart without warning. Clang. The longevity immortal emperor's reaction wasn't slow at all. He could clearly sense the terrifying aura radiating from the judgment battle spear. He could smell the scent of death from it. However, he was still an immortal emperor after all. His decisiveness and ruthlessness weren't inferior to any of his peers. He did not retract his fist. Instead, 9 dragons descended from the emperor's pagoda, covering his entire body. He was under the protection of the emperor's pagoda. At the same time, he did not retreat. Instead, he advanced with a ferocious look on his face. He punched with boundless energy towards Di Shitian's head. Looking at the power contained in his fist, if it hit, even the toughest head would be smashed into pieces on the spot. Rumble. The emperor revered beasts, and his battle skills were known for their brutality. The terrifying fist energy slammed into the celestial emperor's war chariot. Instantly, the celestial emperor's canopy's 7-colored light fluctuated violently. It collided with the dragon-shaped energy, causing the entire war chariot to shake violently. The emperor's unparalleled strength was on full display. Streams of energy blasted the celestial emperor's canopy, causing it to dim. A golden fist suddenly appeared in front of the canopy. On the fist, there were spikes that stood upright, flickering with a terrifying sharpness. It slammed heavily on the canopy. The already dimmed canopy was blasted open with a terrifying crack. The fist passed through the canopy and smashed towards Di Shitian's head. Ultimate Emperor Immortal Body. When the fist smashed down, one could clearly see the golden light on the fist. However, there was no trace of panic on his face. He uttered a sentence. Immediately, the 129,600 Ultimate Emperor talismans around him spat out an endless amount of godly power. They poured into his flesh and blood, and his flesh and blood pulsed with a strange rhythm. Immortal God rings quickly emerged from his flesh and blood. They appeared outside his body, covering his entire body with the undying divine rings. The 10 undying divine rings glowed with purple gold light, and an undying divine spirit appeared within them. Not good. The power of desire, heart-calming bead. When Emperor Wn Sho sensed the various desires emanating from the imperishable divine ring, various strange fantasies couldn't help but appear in his mind, and he was on the verge of falling into a state of lust. However, a strand of refreshing energy surged out from his mind, and in the blink of an eye, he was pulled out of his lust. His heart trembled. He knew that this was Di Shitian's power of desire invading his mind. However, he was prepared. The heart-calming bead could temporarily resist the invasion of desire. However, he was also affected. The power in his hand was reduced by 10% in the blink of an eye. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Qin Wentian's fist smashed into Indra's head. However, the fist collided with the inextinguishable divine rings first. The destructive might contained within the fist gushed out, containing the boundless will of an emperor. In an instant, the inextinguishable divine rings were shattered into pieces by the fist, transforming into corporeal fragments that shot out in all directions. 1 ring, 2 rings, 3 rings, 4 rings. At a speed visible to the naked eye, the undying divine rings crumbled one after another at a speed that could be seen with the naked eye. Countless dragon-shaped chi forces were on the verge of going berserk. In the blink of an eye, all 10 undying divine rings were smashed into pieces for the first time. Bang! The golden fist broke through the undying divine rings and smashed down. At the same time, Di Shitian casually tilted his head to the side. The fist did not hit his head, but landed directly on his shoulder. This collision let out a terrifying sound of steel. Under the fist, the ultimate Emperor talismans shone with divine light, bursting forth with a monstrous might. They broke the fist off his shoulder. At the same time, the Judgment Battle Spear landed on the Emperor of Longevity's body. 3 consecutive strikes. Under the support of the boundless might of the Judgment Battle Spear, the Judgment Battle Spear was almost invincible. It landed on the dragon that was blocking in front of it. The entire barbaric dragon let out a painful roar. Countless dragon scales flew out wantonly in all directions. It was almost unstoppable. The Judgment Battle Spear pierced through the dragon, and the Judgment Battle Spear shredded the dragon into pieces. The 9 dragons were pierced through one after another. Judgment! Judgment! Countless shouts came from the Judgment Battle Spear. It increased the power of the Judgment Battle Spear. Catcher! The Judgment Battle Spear pierced through the 9 dragons with an unstoppable momentum, and without hesitation, it landed on the Emperor of Longevity's heart. The Judgment Battle Spear pierced through the Emperor of Longevity's heart, and the boundless Judgment Battle Spear continued to destroy his body. Emperor blood dyed the blue sky red. The Emperor of Longevity let out a muffled groan, and his body retreated rapidly. There was a hint of madness in his eyes. He was of the human race. Although he had reached the level of a peerless expert, and his body was immortal, how could he compare to Di Shitian in terms of strength and toughness? Coupled with the fact that the Judgment Battle Spear countered him, he was heavily injured in an instant. Rumble. The Heavenly Emperor War Chariot charged towards the Emperor of Longevity with a monstrous might. Di Shitian stood on it and sneered, "Emperor of Longevity, this emperor shall punish you." The Judgment Battle Spear was raised again. "Do you really think you can kill me?" The Emperor of Longevity sneered, and an ancient lantern appeared in his hand out of nowhere. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to Chidyen. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 1038. One of the 9 lanterns. Sakra's eyes fell on the palace lantern in Emperor Wan Shou's hand. His face suddenly turned solemn. That ancient lantern was almost exactly the same as the ancient suppression demon lantern, netherworld ghost lantern, coffin blood lantern, and forbidden soul lantern he had seen before. They were all lotus-shaped palace lanterns. However, the color of the lantern was different. It was a bronze lantern with lotus petals that outlined mysterious Tao runes. In the heart of the lantern, a bronze flame was burning. Within the flame, one could clearly see that the lantern's form was constantly changing. One moment, it was an eagle soaring in the sky. Another moment, it was a snow leopard hunting in the forest. Wild bulls, wild snakes. All kinds of beasts appeared one after another within the lantern's flame. Vaguely, the ancient aura of a wild beast came from the lamp, as if it had a mysterious connection with all magical beasts, savage beasts, and even all the other beasts in the world. It was as if mysterious fate constantly poured into the ancient lamp. Incredible, crazy emperor. That's definitely one of the 9 ancient lamps of heaven and earth. Look at that primordial aura. That's the beast lamp of the 9 ancient lamps. Legend has it that during the ancient barbaric era, when the savage beasts were the main characters of the world, it was already born. It was the fate treasure of the savage beasts. However, after the savage beasts entered the Heaven's Tower, this ancient lamp should be the fate treasure of the beast race. Who would have thought that it would fall into the hands of Everlasting Emperor? When Ming saw this, he couldn't help but cry out in shock. According to the legends, the beasts were a race that obtained the bloodline of the beasts. Thus, the lanterns should be the origin of the beasts. A supreme treasure capable of suppressing fate. Unfortunately, the 9 lanterns have always been mysterious. The beasts obtained them in the ancient era but lost them during the heaven-toppling war. Who would have thought that it would fall into the hands of Everlasting Emperor? Ancient lantern? I see. Sakra's eyes flashed with realization. He said with a sharp gaze, "You actually obtained the life treasure of the beast race, the barbarian beast lantern. Using the fate of the beast race in the barbarian beast lantern, you managed to strengthen the Wn imperial dynasty, which allowed your cultivation to increase tremendously. You had countless fortuitous encounters and opportunities, and you actually managed to break through to become an unparalleled expert. You are stealing the fate of the beasts. Almost instantly, all kinds of information appeared in his mind. In the blink of an eye, he understood the story behind the rise of Everlasting Emperor. He was using the lantern to steal the fate of the beasts. It was an act of theft. No wonder the Wn imperial dynasty was founded on beasts. He wanted to use the name of the country to clear his name and openly use the ancient beast lantern. So what if you know? You evil monster. How dare you force me to take out the ancient beast lantern? Even if I have to pay a great price, I will kill you today. Everlasting Emperor's face was filled with malevolence, but his heart was filled with boundless rage. When he took out the lantern, he had already prepared for the worst. It was fine if he didn't use the lantern, but once it was used, it would affect the fate of the beasts. It wouldn't be able to hide it from the experts of the beasts. At that time, the lantern would be a disaster. There would definitely be a conflict with the beasts. Ancient lantern, 10,000 beasts burn the heavens. The Wansho immortal emperor coldly stared at Sakura. The ancient beast lantern in his hand was placed horizontally in front of him as he uttered a command. His voice seemed to contain a strange energy that connected to the ancient beast lantern. Roar! Roar! In an instant, terrifying roars of beasts could be heard coming from the lantern. These roars contained a terrifying aura that could destroy everything. The lantern in the lantern emitted a dazzling light. Countless terrifying savage beasts flashed through the light in a frenzy. Howl! An icy blue thunder eagle whizzed out of the ancient beast lantern. In an instant, it rapidly expanded at a speed visible to the naked eye. In the blink of an eye, it had turned into a thunder eagle that was over 10,000 feet in size. Every feather on its body could be clearly seen flashing crazily. On the surface of its body, there was a layer of bronze beast flame covering the surface of its body. The beast flame contained a savage, crazy power that could burn everything and destroy the world. Crack! The bronze-colored beast flame melted the surrounding space like it was made of steel. The space was distorted. It was a terrifying scene. The aura that was emitted from its body crushed a nearby mountain into countless pieces. Crazy Emperor, this is a beast spirit. The ancient lantern not only has the power to suppress fate, but it can also absorb countless beast spirits and refine them into immortal beast spirits. As long as the ancient lantern exists, the beast spirits in it are almost indestructible. My goodness, the aura of this Thunderhawk is probably that of a sovereign savage beast. It can fight against an unparalleled expert. Moreover, I'm afraid there's more than one sovereign savage beast. Dark was so shocked that she almost jumped up and shouted loudly. As expected, after the Thunder Eagle appeared, many ferocious and terrifying beast souls came out of the ancient lamp one after another. Snow Eagle, Wind-Splitting Mink, Frost Dragon, Lion Scorpion Beast, Flying Wild Python, and so on. They came out of the ancient lamp like a tide. They were all savage beast emperors. Behind the sovereigns, endless savage beast kings gushed out like tidewater. In the blink of an eye, they were densely packed in the void. Layer upon layer, each savage beast had a bronze-colored beast flame on their bodies, as if they were going to burn everything into ashes. In an instant, the space within hundreds of thousands of miles had turned into a sea of beast spirits. Each of them had bronze-colored beast flames in their eyes that were filled with a bloodthirsty and destructive light. If someone were to see the scene in front of them right now, they would probably faint from fright on the spot. There were hundreds of millions of beast spirits in front of them. The weakest one was a sovereign savage beast. There were hundreds of thousands of sovereign savage beasts. If such a force was released, it would be enough to destroy any imperial dynasty. None of the 9 great imperial dynasties of the human race would be able to withstand such a destructive force. Sovereign savage beasts could fight against unparalleled experts. Even if they couldn't win, they could still hold on for a while. This was just one sovereign savage beast. If there were 10 sovereign savage beasts, Ordinary unparalleled experts would have to hide. If there were 100 or 1,000 of them, it would be an unpredictable situation. If the force in front of them exploded, it could destroy the heavens and earth. Di Shitian, you think you can fight against me? You destroyed my WN Shou imperial dynasty and killed my child. Today, I will let you die with my imperial dynasty. WAN Shou army, listen to my command. Kill. The WAN Shou emperor's eyes were filled with madness. He knew that his WN Shou imperial dynasty was going to be destroyed in this battle. Since it was going to be destroyed, he would let the beast emperor die with his imperial dynasty. Roar. Roar. Almost at the same time when the order was given, the beast souls that covered a large area of the void looked at the Sakra at the same time and let out terrifying beastly roars that were filled with wildness. At the same time, the entire WN Shou army rushed towards Di Shitian like a tidal wave. Oh my god, look! We can actually see the battle between the Beast Emperor and the WAN Shou Emperor in the ancient map. What is that? What a huge WAN Shou army. Any one of them can crush me to the ground. Look at that lamp. Could it be that the WAN Shou army is related to that lamp? That lamp looks exactly the same as the 9 ancient lamps in the world. Oh my god, such an army, even a peerless expert would be crushed in front of it. For some unknown reason, a corner of the overturning heavens ancient diagram that appeared in the air suddenly appeared. That scene was none other than the scene of the battle between the Indra and the Wanshou immortal emperor. However, when they saw it, they were all dumbfounded. Quick! Devour the 3 arrays. Don't let my husband face the WAN Shou army alone. Chen Shi's eyes seemed to be able to clearly see the scene in the ancient map. His expression changed slightly, and he quickly gave the order. The devouring force of the Lingxiao demon court became even more powerful and terrifying. Rumble. The speed of the Jade Archive's rotation increased, creating a terrifying vortex in the sky. Countless fragments of heavenly lore were sucked into the Jade Archive. In the Imperial Jade Archive, one could clearly see that the Formation Dao Talisman, Star Dao Talisman and Beast Dao Talisman were all being completed at a shocking speed. Just in time. When Di Shitian heard it, he was not afraid. Instead, he sneered. The ultimate emperor mask on his face also turned into a sneer. Vigorous emperor's aura burst out from his body as he slowly said, "Wherever I stand, that is my territory. All forces in the world must listen to my orders. Anyone who goes against me will be spurned by the heavens and earth. Their souls will be destroyed by the cold wind, their bodies will be corroded by the weak water, and their souls will be frozen in ice." Standing on the heavenly emperor's chariot, Di Shitian's emperor's aura was awe-inspiring. Every word and action seemed to represent the will of the heavens and earth. Every word and sentence contained a mysterious power that quickly spread throughout the entire world and merged with it. Rumble. As soon as he finished speaking, one could clearly feel that the heavens and earth, the entire void, were exerting a boundless pressure on the billions of beast souls. The space became abnormally solid, imprisoning all the beast souls. Woo-woo. A wild wind blew from the void. This wind was an invisible cold wind that swept towards the billions of beast souls. Roar, roar, roar. Immediately, one could clearly see the fear in the eyes of the beast souls. Their bodies dimmed at a speed visible to the naked eye. Their originally corporeal bodies became illusory due to the wind. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to Chijian.com to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 1039. The chilly wind was the most terrifying as it could blow away a person's soul and take away the soul energy in the soul from the body. Although the beast spirits were powerful, the chilly wind produced by Di Shitian's edict caused the beast spirits to rapidly become illusory. Their bodies became extremely weak as their energy was blown away. At the same time, following Di Shitian's edict, a rain of raindrops fell from the sky. Following that, drops of rain fell from the sky, accompanied by a chilling wind. They fell on the billions of beast souls, and one could clearly see that the rain was like sulfuric acid. Wherever it fell, the beast souls would emit a terrifying sound of corrosion, and they would melt at a speed visible to the naked eye. Waves of chilly wind attacked. Snowflakes fell from the sky like goose feathers. They drifted with the wind and scattered across the void. It was a beautiful sight. However, everything that the snowflakes touched was covered by a layer of terrifying ice crystals at a speed visible to the naked eye. They were sealed in ice. The original mountain range turned into ice mountains. All kinds of flowers and trees were turned into ice sculptures. In the blink of an eye, the surroundings had turned into a world of ice and snow. Even the beast spirits were unable to avoid being sealed in ice. How terrifying! How ferocious! He sealed the entire Wn army in ice with just a few words. First, the chilly wind weakened the beast spirits. Then, the weak water corroded the beast spirits. Finally, he sealed the entire army in ice. One after another. How ferocious! The most ferocious thing is, what kind of divine ability did the demon emperor use? Not even the golden mouth, jade words, silent meditation, or incantations can be so domineering. He is directly commanding the heavens and earth. He is standing at the highest point of the heavens and earth. This is an unimaginably terrifying divine ability. He can slaughter millions with just a word. When the cultivators of the all heavens saw the scene in the ancient map, they were all dumbfounded. They once again guessed what kind of heaven-defying Abhina the Sacra Buddha had used. His words were light, and it was almost as if he directly commanded the world. The lethality of such a divine ability was absolutely terrifying to the extreme. It was an existence that any race would be extremely wary of and secretly terrified of. Do you think you can wipe out my Wn army just like that? What a fool's dream. Ancient beast lantern, immortal beast spirit. When Emperor Wn saw that Sakra had merely said a few words, he was able to freeze hundreds of millions of beast spirits. Moreover, the strength of the beast spirits was greatly depleted. His fear of Sakra had reached the extreme. However, he did not admit defeat because of this. His desire to kill Xiao Chen and his desire to kill Xiao Chen became even more firm and unshakable. The ancient beast lantern in his hand flashed. Swish. Suddenly, the heart of the ancient beast lantern emitted billions of bright bronze flames. The flames were unusually bright and quickly spread in all directions like a tide, covering the frozen beast soul army. Crash. Immediately, the ice sculptures melted at a speed visible to the naked eye. They were like snowflakes in the summer that came into contact with the sun. In the blink of an eye, they had all melted away. The flames scattered on the beast souls. Instantly, the beast souls, which had lost a lot of energy due to the chilly wind, recovered at a speed visible to the naked eye. In the blink of an eye, they were back to their original state, exuding a vast aura of savage beasts. Rumble. The myriad of beast souls didn't hesitate in the slightest as they exploded out with a bang and charged towards Sakra with the force of toppling mountains and overturning seas. That boundless imposing aura seemed as if it would instantly crush anything that blocked before it into powder. Even a great divine ability expert would feel his scalp tingle and his heart tremble. His expression changed. That aura was too terrifying. Everywhere it passed, the void was burned, twisted, and melted. Lightning turns into a weapon to destroy the beast souls. Space collapses into a blade to cut through the void. The power of the 5 elements turns into a millstone to crush the beast souls. When Di Shitian saw this, he frowned slightly. He had a vague understanding of the ancient beast lantern. However, he did not take action personally. Instead, he issued an edict to the heavens and earth. Rumble. Sakra's edict was like the ruler of heaven and earth. As soon as his voice fell, there wasn't the slightest bit of hesitation. Hundreds of millions of thunderbolts emerged out of thin air. All kinds of divine thunderbolts condensed into sharp and overbearing thunder weapons. The space around the beast soul army collapsed and a destructive force burst out. The broken space fragments formed into sharp space blades that cut through the void. The vast power of the 5 elements quickly gathered in the void. It formed a huge 5 elements millstone. The 5 elements reversed, crushing the void and turning it into dust. Countless attacks swept towards the vast army of beasts in an instant. They collided violently with the billions of beast souls. These beast souls were extremely terrifying, especially those savage beast emperors. Not only were they not afraid of the terrifying attacks, they charged forward recklessly. The Thunder Eagles emitted overbearing lightning bolts and crushed the attacks in front of them. The savage beast emperors tore through the void with a wave of their claws. They were extremely domineering. However, the majority of the savage beast kings were sliced into pieces by the overwhelming attacks. They were annihilated inch by inch. They were turned into countless pieces. Large numbers of savage beast emperors fell like grass being mowed down. In the blink of an eye, tens of millions of savage beast emperors were smashed into pieces. Ancient beast lantern, immortal beast souls. Emperor Wan Shou sneered when he saw this. He waved the ancient lantern in his hand again. Suddenly, a large amount of light covered the entire battlefield like a tide. Wherever the light shone, the savage beast souls that were smashed into pieces gathered in the middle at an alarming speed. In the blink of an eye, the savage beast souls were reformed into savage beast souls. The beast souls that had been destroyed earlier were restored once more, and there wasn't even the slightest damage to them. It was a terrifying sight. Immortal beast souls? Di Shitian exuded a strange majesty from between his brows. Crazy Di, the ancient beast lantern must have the powerful ability to make the savage beast souls indestructible. The ancient lantern gathers the luck, and the savage beast souls are protected by the luck. Even if you smash them into pieces, they can be restored again. Take that ancient lantern. Ming shouted excitedly, showing traces of possessiveness for the ancient beast lantern. Once it was obtained, it would be a treasure of luck. It was definitely a rare treasure. Di Shitian, my Wan Shou army is indestructible. You can just wait for your death. Wan Shou Heavenly Emperor sneered. Seeing that Di Shitian couldn't do anything to his Wan Shou army even after 2 consecutive attacks, the self-confidence in his heart grew stronger. The Wan Shou army was indestructible. Even if they relied on the Beast Sea tactic, they could still wipe out all the experts. The confidence in his heart grew stronger all of a sudden. Humph. Do you really think you're invincible? I'll play with you. Do you really think you're something? Ancient 9 dragons, kill. Seeing the Emperor Wan Shou's confident expression, Di Shitian could not help but sneer inwardly. With a shout, the ancient 9 dragons under him quickly pulled the Heavenly Emperor's war chariot towards the Wan Shou army. 9 strikes of judgment, Beast Slayer. As the Heavenly Emperor's war chariot charged towards the Wan Shou army, Di Shitian quickly raised the war spear in his hand. Without hesitation, he waved his hand, and the war spear with boundless strength of judgment blasted towards the Wan Shou army. The first to bear the brunt of the attack was a savage beast emperor-level lion-scorpion beast. The tail behind the lion-scorpion beast was a pitch-black scorpion tail that shone with a dark cold light. Seeing the war spear of judgment, the scorpion tail immediately drew a bright arc in the air and stabbed towards the war spear. Rumble. When the scorpion tail collided with the war spear, a burst of domineering strength of judgment burst forth from the war spear and broke the scorpion tail. At the same time, the war spear heavily penetrated the lion-scorpion beast's body and burst forth with boundless strength of judgment. A purple-gold battle spear stabbed directly into the Wan Shou army, blasting a massive gash through the entire army. Everywhere it passed, countless beast spirits were crushed by the judgment power of the battle spear, which was specifically used against the beast race. They were shattered into countless pieces. Roar, roar, roar. The ancient 9 dragons then pulled the Heavenly Emperor's war chariot into the Wan Shou army. Heavenly Emperor Furnace, plunder the beast soul fragments and refine them into Emperor Dragon essence. On the Heavenly Emperor's war chariot, countless Emperor runes seemed to have a life of their own as they spun wildly. The war chariot shook violently, and a strong suction force burst forth from the war chariot. The beast soul fragments that were shattered by the war spear of judgment were swept into the war chariot by the suction force and sent into the Heavenly Emperor Furnace. Rumble, rumble, rumble. The Heavenly Emperor Furnace immediately began to operate. The beast soul fragments that entered did not even have the ability to resist and were all refined into pure Emperor Dragon essence by the heavenly Emperor furnace. The beast souls that were almost indestructible were all refined. No. The Great Emperor could clearly feel that the beast soul fragments were being refined in large quantities and were no longer under the control of the ancient beast lantern. His expression changed. How could you refine the indestructible beast souls? Even the most powerful elite would not be able to destroy them easily. The ancient lantern in his hand shone again and spread its light across the battlefield. However, the beast souls were all plundered into the heavenly Emperor furnace and refined at an astonishing speed until not even a speck was left. There was no way for them to be resurrected. Beast men slay. Judgment. You are guilty. Aiding the tyrant is a crime. You shall be executed. The heavenly Emperor's war chariot charged into the Wn army without any hesitation. Instantly, countless savage beasts pounced on the war chariot in a frenzy. All kinds of attacks, lightning, fire, ice, beast claws, bone spikes, and more, bombarded the war chariot like a tidal wave. The heavenly Emperor's canopy rumbled. The multicolored light above was flickering indeterminately. Faintly, there were signs of it being indestructible and destroyed. In just an instant, it felt like it was the end of the world. Every attack seemed to be able to destroy the heavens and earth. However, the war spear of judgment also struck out again and again. Every spear strike was extremely domineering. A large number of beast souls were crushed in front of the war spear, and the fragments were swept into the heavenly Emperor furnace. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to Chidien.com to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 1040. Kill. 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 Kill this Evildor for this Emperor. Wn Heavenly Monarch was on the brink of insanity as he roared furiously. He commanded the Beast Spirit Army to surround Sacre Tien and the Heavenly Monarch war chariot like a tidal wave. The Beast Emperors roared ferociously and attacked the war chariot at the same time. Feathers that were sharper than swords, balls of bestial flames that could burn the void, sharp claws, and earth-shattering attacks hit the Celestial Emperor's chariot like a tide. Rumble. The Celestial Emperor's canopy dimmed and flickered. If not for the Celestial Emperor's draconic essence gushing out from the Celestial Emperor's furnace, the Celestial Emperor's canopy would have been destroyed in the first wave of attacks. However, the attacks from the Beast Soul army seemed to be never-ending. Passively defending could not stop the Beast Soul's attacks. Crazy Emperor, we can't go on like this. The number of beasts is too terrifying. Damn that longevity Great Emperor, how could he use such a shameless tactic? If this goes on, the Celestial Emperor's canopy will not be able to hold on. We must find a way to kill all these beasts. With the current rate of killing, it's just a drop in the bucket. Ming revealed an anxious expression when she saw the tsunami-like attacks that covered the sky and covered the earth swarming towards her. He could feel a strong pressure. Humph. Di Shetian snorted as he looked at the Longevity Great Emperor and shouted, Longevity Great Emperor, if this is what you're relying on, I'll get rid of it first before sending you to the afterlife. Rumble. The Celestial Emperor's chariot shook violently. An unparalleled Emperor's aura suddenly gushed out from Sakra's body like a tidal wave. His pitch-black long hair danced wildly behind his head. The Azure Dragon, Vermilion Bird, Black Tortoise, White Tiger, and Chiline rushed out one after another and revolved around his body, letting out monstrous roars. All of a sudden, Di Shitian's body was set off abnormally tall. Waves of oppressive might continuously gushed out from between his brows. The purple-gold divine mark between his brows rippled like water and quickly pulled to the sides. Whoosh. As soon as it was pulled open, a purple-gold eye that seemed to look down on everything appeared. Within those eyes, there was only a supreme majesty that indifferently gazed at the vast expanse of the world. That majesty made it so that no one could look directly at it. In the instant that the purplish golden eyes opened, a vast pressure erupted forth, causing all of the surrounding beast souls to falter in unison. He could not help but stop. What is this? The demon monarch's divine eye? Great Emperor WN Shou's heart was filled with turbulent emotions. Just by looking at that eye, the majesty that it exuded actually made him feel like he didn't dare to look at it directly. It was as if he was just an ant that was spying on a god. That instinctive avoidance made him involuntarily shift his eyes away. Almost instantly, his previous investigation of Di Shitian had already appeared in his mind. There was information about the demon monarch's divine eye in it. According to his understanding, that divine eye had almost immeasurable destructive power. Its terrifying battle strength could be said to be heaven-defying. In his heart, he instinctively felt a huge threat. However, Di Shitian did not care about these, and the heavenly punishment divine eye instantly opened. Heavenly punishment divine eye soul catcher. Di Shitian secretly issued a cold order in his heart. Whoosh! In the divine eye, streaks of purple-gold light constantly rippled and flickered. Vaguely, one could see a terrifying purgatory with countless torture devices in the divine eye. Without any hesitation, a purple-gold divine light burst forth with endless power, stretching out hundreds of thousands of feet. The huge soul-catcher divine light was like a vast heavenly river. With the unparalleled might of the heavens, within the divine light, countless mysterious soul-sucking sounds reverberated like the tide. Inside the divine light, there was an unparalleled majesty that seemed to be able to intimidate all divine souls in the world. At the same time, there was an endless devouring power in the divine light. Whoosh! With a thought from Di Shitian, the soul-catcher divine light immediately swept out in all directions. In the void, there was a fan-shaped purple-gold light arc everywhere it passed. One could see clearly that the vast army of beast souls in the void was inconceivably swept into the divine light. Roar! 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 As if they could feel some kind of terrifying threat, the sovereign savage beasts bombarded the soul-catcher divine light, wanting to destroy it. Even if they were covered by the divine light, they struggled violently, wanting to break free from the divine light. However, the soul-catcher divine light could be said to be a heaven-defying ability that could restrain divine souls, and it was performed by the heavenly punishment divine eye. Wherever the divine light passed, no matter how violently the sovereign savage beasts struggled, they were irreversibly swept into the divine light. The void was cleared up. Ha ha, quick, quick, quick. Well done. There are so many beast souls here. It's just the right time to take their soul energy and turn them into jailers. Take all of them into the nether prison. Let's see how the ancient savage beast lamp can revive them. Dark laughed wildly in the nether prison. At this moment, the nether prison was vast and boundless. A large number of jailers were holding soul fetters and soul restraining chains in their hands. When they saw the beast souls being sucked into the nether prison, the chains in their hands were like spiritual snakes, instantly binding those beast souls. One by one, they were sent into the 19 levels of purgatory. Some sovereign savage beasts were sucked in. They wanted to resist, but they were immediately suppressed by the vast power of the nether prison, unable to move. They were quickly suppressed. The heavenly punishment divine eye had condensed 4 innate divine seals, reaching the level of a top-grade innate spirit treasure. At this moment, with Sakra's supreme battle prowess that had proven his Tao with strength, the power that exploded out had simply reached an inconceivable realm. It swept across the void. Billions of beast souls were swept away at a speed visible to the naked eye. No, how is this possible? The WN Shou army is the lamp spirit of the ancient savage beast lamp. They have an inseparable connection with the ancient lamp. How can you take them away? The Emperor of Longevity was completely shocked this time. The horror in his eyes could be clearly seen. He was very clear about the background of the WAN Shou army. Their connection with the ancient lamp was almost inseparable. Even the soul-summoning technique couldn't summon them away, but at this moment, the soul-absorbing divine light was sucking them away. When the soul-absorbing divine light was sucking them away, he clearly felt that the connection between the soul-absorbing divine light and the ancient lamp was instantly severed. He could no longer make any connection with those beast souls. The WAN Shou army vs the heavenly punishment divine eye. It ended with the victory of the heavenly punishment divine eye. And this scene, who knows how many witnesses, almost made their eyeballs fall out of their sockets, and their mouths were wide open for a long time without being able to close them. Longevity. You used the name of longevity to say that you have unlimited longevity. Today, I will knock you down from the throne. Let's see how long you can live. Rumble. The celestial emperor's chariot was being pulled by the 9 primordial dragons, and it was burning with the same monstrous flames that had wiped out hundreds of millions of beast souls. It was as if it was a supreme existence, and it was looking down on everlasting great emperor. The face on the extreme emperor's mask had become cold and unfeeling. The heavenly punishment god's eyes flashed with a bright light again. Swish. A purple-gold divine light shot out from the heavenly punishment god's eyes again, quickly enveloping the emperor of longevity. Ancient emperor's pagoda, 9 dragons protection. The emperor of longevity did not dodge. He was a great emperor, and he also had the dignity of an emperor. How could he retreat because of fear? Once he retreated, it was equivalent to his will collapsing. With the emperor's will, he was invincible. Even though he knew that this divine light was not easy to withstand, he did not retreat. Roar, roar, roar. 9 purple gold dragons quickly drilled out of the emperor's pagoda and coiled around his body. In the blink of an eye, it had turned into an emperor's dragon robe with 9 dragons roaring madly on it. However, as soon as the divine light landed on his body, he was stunned. Immediately, a black and white ancient mirror appeared out of nowhere from the divine light. The ancient mirror covered his entire body. The light in the mirror flickered, and countless images appeared in the mirror like a tide. It was actually the life of the everlasting great emperor. He was actually a beggar, and only after obtaining the ancient beast lantern by chance did he step onto the path of rise. His entire life was filled with blood and slaughter. Countless vengeful spirits and beast souls roared within the ancient mirror. Heavenly punishment, divine eye, retribution mirror. Retribution mirror? The everlasting emperor was not someone ordinary people could compare to. With just a glance, he immediately saw through the origin of the ancient mirror. His expression changed slightly. He felt countless vengeful spirits come out of the karma mirror at the same time and rush toward him. At the same time, blood-red flames appeared on their bodies. Boom! In the blink of an eye, the karmic fire of the Red Lotus was burning the Emperor of Longevity's body in a frenzy. In his mind, countless illusions appeared. The souls of those who had died at his hands in the past were all screaming at him at the same time. Humph! I am a great emperor of a dynasty. I am protected by providence, and no evil can invade me. No karmic fire can get close to me. Hurry up and get out of my way. The ancient beast lantern in WN Show's hand shook, and the dense light instantly covered his body. The light was very strange, and it actually forced the karmic fire away. Swoosh. However, at that moment, the divine eye of punishment shot out a bright divine light again, and it instantly swept toward WN Show at an alarming speed. In the divine light, there was a supreme pressure that was like the judgment of the heavenly Tao. The divine light was unusually condensed. In just an instant, it appeared in front of WN Show. Divine eye of punishment, divine punishment. As soon as this divine light appeared, a terrifying sense of impending doom was transmitted in almost all the surrounding void. The divine punishment was a punishment from heaven and earth, and it had supreme judgment power. WN Show was in the illusory realm of the karma mirror, and he could not block it in time. Even though he had forced the ancient beast lantern to open the karmic fire, he could not dodge it in time and was hit by the divine punishment. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to Chidyen.com to vote for me. Your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 1041. Those with tickets, please support me. Heavenly punishment. The everlasting great emperor felt his immortal primordial spirit tremble violently. Looking at the divine light, he suddenly remembered the heavenly punishment divine eye that appeared when he broke through the barrier to become a peerless expert. At that time, the divine punishment that fell from the heavenly punishment divine eye was still terrifying even now. At this moment, he recalled the scene of that time again. Within this divine light, he felt a sense of danger that made him shudder with fear. Xiao Chen's expression changed drastically. Without even thinking, the ancient beast lantern in his hand gave off a resplendent light. A bronze flame enveloped his entire body. Not a single trace was missed. Vaguely, it was as if countless savage beasts were surrounding him. However, at this moment, the purple-gold continent was in an uproar. Oh my god, Demon Sovereign, this is the real Demon Sovereign. It's so F***king terrifying. That divine eye is too heaven-defying. Just one ray of divine light is enough to wipe away hundreds of millions of beast souls. There's even a barbaric beast emperor among them. He's simply a monster. The beast emperor's trump cards are endless. If it was any other peerless expert that fell into the myriad beast army, I'm afraid they would be in a difficult situation. This time, the everlasting great emperor kicked an iron plate. Heavenly punishment divine light, that's the heavenly punishment divine light. Legend has it that the beast emperor has mastered one of the heaven-defying divine abilities. Moreover, it's rarely used. Everyone who has seen it has already fallen. It's closely related to the legendary heavenly punishment divine eye. I wonder if the everlasting great emperor can withstand the attack of this heaven-defying divine ability. Whoosh! Without hesitation, the heavenly punishment divine light swept towards the everlasting great emperor. Roar! Roar! The divine light fell on the ancient emperor's pagoda. Countless savage dragons emerged from it, letting out domineering dragon roars and releasing endless divine light. The purple dragon heads glared at the divine light angrily. Then, the heavenly punishment divine light swept across the ancient emperor's pagoda. The entire emperor's pagoda dimmed at a speed visible to the naked eye. Under the divine light, the dragons quickly dispersed and disappeared in the blink of an eye. The divine light swept again, and the emperor's pagoda fell directly from the top of the head. There was no trace of light, as if it was an ordinary object. Whoosh! Di Shitian had no intention of stopping the ancient emperor's pagoda. The purple-gold heaven's punishment godlight turned around again, aiming for Emperor Everlasting. The purple-gold divine light, which carried boundless pressure, brushed against his body. The instant the heavenly punishment divine light landed on his body, the 9 dragons on his body did not react in the slightest. The divine light directly drilled through and solidly brushed his body. In just an instant, Great Emperor Wn Shou felt a terrible pain coming from all over his body. He had already cultivated the undying body. Every inch of his flesh and blood contained an undying will and divine will, possessing an undying attribute. However, as the divine light swept past him, he felt as if his will and spiritual sense, which had completely fused into his flesh and blood, were being forcibly stripped of a portion of his flesh and blood. The undying body was shaken violently by the heavenly punishment divine light, and it was weakened continuously. No. My undying body. You monster. How can you damage my undying body? Emperor Wan Shou's eyes turned red instantly. He glared at Di Shitian furiously, as if he couldn't wait to spit Di Shitian into his stomach. His understanding of the great Tao seemed to have been forcefully stripped away in an instant. Originally, he was an unparalleled expert in the advanced stage, but as the heavenly punishment divine light swept past him, he fell to the intermediate stage. After becoming an unparalleled expert, if one wanted to take another step forward, they would need to rely on time and effort. Even if it was just a small increase in cultivation level, it would take thousands of years. The drop in cultivation level almost drove Emperor Wn Shou crazy on the spot. Clenching his hands into fists, waves of violent energy swarmed into his fists. Whoosh! However, how could Di Shitian give him another chance to resist? Once he did, he would kill him on the spot, trample him flat, and crush him into dust. After the first sweep, the heavenly punishment divine light didn't dissipate at all. Instead, as Di Shitian continued to pour in the royal true force, it became more condensed. Once again, it swept towards Emperor Wan Shou. Emperor Wan Shou naturally wouldn't sit still and wait for death. Personally experiencing the terror of the heavenly punishment divine light, a light flashed under his feet and a barbaric dragon appeared. The barbaric dragon turned and was about to take him directly into the void, shuttling through the void. However, the heavenly punishment divine light was simply unfathomable. Even if the myriad longevity great emperor merged with the void, he would still be swept away. A portion of his will and divine sense would still be forcibly taken away. Unparalleled expert in the early stage, Emperor Wn Shou's eyes were about to spew fire. He wanted to cry but had no tears. A part of the understanding of the great Tao in his mind was wiped out. Once again, he fell to the early stage. This wasn't the end of it. The heavenly punishment divine light turned around and swept towards him again. Making an enemy out of me, I will beat you down from the emperor's throne. Di Shitian sneered without any mercy. The heavenly punishment divine light landed on Emperor Wn Shou's body for the third time. In an instant, the will and spirit in his body were completely stripped away. My undying body. Emperor Wn Shou was about to go completely crazy. A feeling of despair emerged in his mind. It's over, it's completely over. His undying body was completely gone. He could feel that if his arm was cut off now, it really couldn't be restored. He would have to consume his own blood essence to grow it back again. Peak of the ancient giant. He actually fell from the unparalleled expert realm to the peak of the ancient giant. He was really beaten down from the emperor's throne. Wn Shou, this emperor will take you back to the demon court and turn you into a statue. Kneel in front of my Lingxiao palace and let all the demon race citizens see you. You will be despised by them. After Sakura had knocked Wn Shou off his throne, the divine light of heavenly punishment that he had shot out was quickly retracted. Inside his body, he felt a sense of relief. The consumption of the divine eye of heavenly punishment was too terrifying. Even though his body could support the use of the divine eye of heavenly punishment, his own royal true force could not support such a continuous battle. At this moment, after using it consecutively, the originally vast royal true force was now left with less than 10%. However, on the surface, he didn't show it. In the Celestial Emperor's war chariot, Endless Emperor Dragon Qi madly rushed into his body, quickly replenishing the royal true force that was consumed. Without hesitation, his left hand clawed out fiercely in front of him. Extreme Royal Fortune Palm, Xing his circlet. In an instant, an enormous hand that covered the sky with a circumference of tens of thousands of feet appeared in the void. In that hand, the image of a vast galaxy appeared, forming a terrifying vortex that contained an endless devouring power. It was as if it could contain the entire world. It was pinched towards Wn Shou Great Emperor. Di Shitian, you want this emperor to kneel in the demon court? Dream on. You want to humiliate me? Wn Shou Dragon Emperor's fist. Wn Shou Great Emperor's boundless longevity. When Wn Shou heard Di Shitian's words, he was so angry that he almost vomited blood. To make him kneel in the demon court and be despised by countless demons was worse than killing him. He was an emperor after all. How could he be willing to be humiliated like that? He roared on the spot and punched out with both fists. Rumble. This punch could be said to be the essence of the entire set of unique skills. There was no difference between Wn Shou and Wn Shou. On the spot, one could clearly see that as the fist was punched out, hundreds of millions of dragon-shaped fist forces gushed out crazily like a tide. Each fist force carried a different fist force. There was thunder, fire, frost, storm and so on. When they gathered together, the power that erupted could almost shatter the void. That aura was so ferocious that one couldn't even think of resisting it. Rumble. Rumble. In front of the fist force, every inch of the void was violently shattering. However, when it collided with the gigantic hand, all of the fist energy poured into the palm and bombarded the galaxy in the palm. Countless stars were shattered by the fist energy. However, the galaxy flowed in reverse, and the fist energy that had entered was constantly being worn down. With his cultivation level that had fallen from the Emperor realm, how could he break through this peerless battle skill? Rumble. The huge hand that covered the sky wasn't shattered. It landed on Wn Shou and instantly grabbed him and sent him into the inner world. Ding. The bronze ancient beast lantern fell to the ground. Ancient beast lantern. Di Shitian looked at it and waved his hand. Immediately, The Emperor's pagoda and the beast lantern flew into his hand. He glanced at them, but didn't examine them too closely. He put them into the inner world. After the battle was over, he would examine them together. His eyes flashed with a strange light as he scanned the entire heavenly realm. Northwest. Sakura slowly spat out a sentence. The archaic 9 dragons understood. They turned around and pulled the Celestial Emperor's chariot toward the northwest. In the blink of an eye, they were gone, leaving behind the shattered mountains. However, after they left, it was as if there was a mysterious power interfering with the shattered mountain range, causing it to recover at an astonishing speed. Hiss. At this moment, countless cultivators felt as if billions of lightning bolts were flashing wildly in their minds. The heaven-shaking rumbles were so loud that they felt as if their souls were about to be destroyed. WAN Show. WAN Show Great Emperor was actually defeated by the Yarrow Emperor. He went from being a peerless expert to being an eternal powerhouse. How is this possible? How can there be such a terrifying divine ability in the world? It's over. It's completely over. The WAN Show Imperial Dynasty is completely finished this time. Even WAN Show Great Emperor was captured by the Yarrow Emperor. The Imperial Dynasty's destruction is irreversible. The Demon Court is so terrifying. The Demon Court is so terrifying. If anyone dares to say that the Demon Court is weak, I'll kill them. All the cultivators in the heavenly realm were dumbfounded. They were inwardly screaming in their hearts. Rumble. At this moment, the entire violet gold continent was filled with a thunderous rumble. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to Chidian.com to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 1042. Green, yellow, blue, gold, red, purple, all kinds of thunderbolts swarmed out from the void without any warning. Streaks of thunderbolts crazily struck downwards. Between the heavens and the earth, there was an endless sense of death. All the living beings on the purple-gold mainland could feel an invisible sense of sorrow from the heavens and the earth from the bottom of their hearts. Against the millions of lightning bolts, it was as if the heavens and earth were in the midst of doomsday. Whoosh! Dense sounds of something breaking through the void rang out. It was as if countless things were descending from the void in an instant. Look, it's rain. No, it's blood. No, it's blood rain. The heavens and earth are grieving. Blood rain is filling the sky. This kind of omen, I seem to have heard of it from an ancient senior. Blood rain from the heavens, grieving with the world. This is a heavenly omen that only appears when a peerless expert falls. Every peerless expert is the strongest battle strength of the heavens and earth. They are the pillars of the heavens and earth, an irreplaceable foundation. The death of any one of them will cause the heavens and earth to suffer a loss. Could it be that a peerless expert has fallen? No, the longevity great emperor didn't fall, only his cultivation base was knocked down. Could it be that being knocked down from the throne is the same as being dead? This time, the longevity great emperor is completely finished. Not only was he knocked down from the throne, he was even captured alive. If he was really taken to the demon court by the demon emperor and turned into a stone statue, kneeling there and receiving pointers and disdain from millions of demons every day, I'm afraid the longevity great emperor himself would go crazy. As a great emperor who used to be high and mighty, being looked down upon by the demon race who used to view him as an ant is even more painful than death. It's even more unbearable. The rain of blood continued to fall from the sky like a storm. The all-heavens cultivators were secretly shocked. They knew that this was a heavenly omen caused by the fall of a peerless expert. Only the fall of a peerless expert could cause the heavens and earth to grieve and rain blood. The longevity great emperor was knocked down from the peerless expert realm to the eternal hegemon realm by Di Shitian's heavenly punishment divine light. Every time he was knocked down, his understanding of the heavens and earth and the great Tao would also be knocked down. Once he was knocked down, his cultivation base would also dissipate and he would also be knocked down to the eternal hegemon realm. His previous comprehension had been forcefully stripped away. This was no different from killing a peerless powerhouse. Naturally, heaven and earth grieved, and a rain of blood descended. Rumble. At that moment, in the territory of the Wan Shou imperial dynasty, there was a rumbling sound. A huge crack appeared in the territory of the Ling Xiao Beast imperial dynasty. The Ling Xiao Beast imperial dynasty broke out of the deployment spell. Boundless godly lights condensed into a gigantic jade scroll. The jade scroll turned into a black hole and swallowed the entire deployment spell. Stars are eternal, embellished with darkness, glory and light. Stars are infinite, Xinghe is infinite. Beasts are fearless, invincible, barbaric, wild, bloody, ferocious. The Tao of spell formations is the Tao of heaven. The great Tao of heaven and earth belongs to spell formations. Yin and Yang, 5 phases, 6 directions, heavenly bodies, 7 stars, 8 extremities, 9 nines return to 1. Instantly, the talismans from the Imperial Jade Scroll, the talismans from the Tao of spell formations, the talismans from the Tao of stars, the talismans from the Tao of spell formations, and the talismans from the beasts all transformed into complete magical symbols of the great Tao. At the same time, 3 lotus thrones appeared in the depths of the dimension, becoming corporeal and complete. Swish, swish. Countless stars in the primordial star space shook at the same time. Heavenly sounds of joy could be heard in the starlight. Beams of starlight shot out of the stars and landed on the Ling Xiao demon court in the blink of an eye. Millions upon millions of beams of starlight descended from the sky. Unsurprisingly, they landed on the demon court. The Ling Xiao demon court didn't stop the pillars of starlight at all. Even the 4 heavenly gates didn't stop them. They allowed the pillars of starlight to fall into the demon court. Rumble. As soon as the beams of starlight entered the demon court, all of the demon folk present, as well as the cultivators from the other heavens who had yet to leave the city, looked up at the sky above. Instantly, the void in the demon court began to tremble and churn. The sky seemed to grow taller than ever, and the void seemed to grow darker and darker. It was a terrifying sight to behold. However, the moment the darkness appeared, pillars of starlight rushed into the void. When they entered the void, they quickly retracted their light and each pillar of starlight condensed into a new star. Each star was different. Some shone with the light of the stars of metal, while others shone with the light of the stars of wood. Each star pulsed with the boundless life force of new life. The light embellished the void, dispelling the darkness in the void. As all the starlight pillars condensed into new stars, a starry space appeared in the void. The perfected great path of the stars merged perfectly with the demon court. Each star followed a mysterious trajectory and continued to revolve. Vaguely, there were signs of the formation of the heavenly cycle stars. The power of countless stars rained down, benefiting countless demon folk once again. A starry sky appeared in the demon court. At the same time, the perfection of the 3 great paths made the demon court even sturdier. All kinds of materials that hadn't been integrated before were continuously integrated into the ancient city. The demon court is even stronger now that the 3 formations have been devoured. Let's go to the sky-toppling ancient map. This time, all the invading cultivators must be suppressed together. After the demon court devoured all the formations, Chen Shi's face revealed a look of determination to kill. He paused, then said, "His Majesty just sent a message. The sky-toppling ancient map is divided into 4 realms: heaven, earth, human, and Chuanfang. Once you enter, you'll be forcibly sucked into each realm according to your cultivation level. However, as long as you don't leave the demon court, you'll be protected by the ancient city and won't be transported out." The demon court shook. Heavenly music echoed from the 4 heavenly gates, and countless fairies danced. Billions of colorful lights enveloped the entire ancient city and were about to break through the void and enter the sky-toppling ancient map. Rumble. However, at this moment, a vast ancient map appeared in the void among the billions of starlight. With a supreme power that swept through the heavens, it suppressed the entire demon court in one fell swoop. The void was constantly distorted. Countless cultivators were stunned by the terrifying roar. "Oh no, something's wrong," a thought suddenly appeared in Chen Shi's mind. And at this moment, in the heavenly overturning ancient picture, Sakra was riding the war chariot as he sped towards the northwest. In this heavenly realm, the territory was so vast that it could be said to be boundless. It was vast and boundless. However, the celestial emperor's chariot could travel thousands of miles in an instant. Its speed was incredible. He used his all-seeing eye to detect that the elf queen was fighting with Venerable Fengshen in the northwest. Venerable Fengshen, you've tried to kill me time and time again. How can I let you go this time? This time, I'll make you suffer the same fate as Wan Shou. You'll be forever suppressed in the demon court and despised by the world. Humans are the eternal protagonists. What a joke. There's no eternal protagonist in this world. Strength is the foundation of everything. Monsters aren't the eternal protagonists of the origin world, and neither are humans. However, I'm the one who created the demon court. In the demon court, we monsters are the eternal protagonists. Di Shitian stood on the chariot. The mask on his face changed into a sneer. Venerable Fengshen was undoubtedly a loyal follower of the human race. For the sake of the human race, he could kill all threats. How could he let such an existence continue to roam free and unfettered? The celestial emperor's chariot moved forward at an astonishing speed. Amiteus Buddha, monster emperor, please stop. The wheels beneath the chariot drew out strands of violet gold flames, and everywhere they passed, space was crushed to the point of collapsing inch by inch. Right when they were about to arrive at the battlefield, a myriad of strands of golden divine radiance suddenly shot out from a mountain peak that was like the spine of a giant before the chariot. Every single strand of divine radiance emanated a profound and mighty force, and it was boundless wish energy. It seemed to be constantly changing mysterious Sanskrit. Countless Buddhas, Arhats, and Bodhisattvas were devoutly chanting scriptures. The Buddha's light was as bright as the sun. In the Buddha's light, there was a boundless suppression of monster chi. Buddha's light? Buddhism sect. The primordial 9 dragons suddenly stopped. Looking at the Buddha's light, they bared their fangs and brandished their claws. A strong murderous light shot out of their eyes, and they let out a deep dragon roar. Sakra's pupils couldn't help but contract slightly. Aunt Ling, Sister Zishuan, brother, look, there's a bald man in front. A small head stretched out from the celestial emperor's chariot. It was Diu. She blinked her eyes and said in a childish voice, "Let me see. Where did this bald man come from?" Yang also stretched out his head and looked forward. "I heard from my father that there's a group of bald donkeys in the world. However, I've only heard of them and have never seen them. This time, I want to see it with my own eyes." Zishuan also looked out with interest. She looked up at the mountain peak. At the peak of the mountain, there was a man in a golden kasaya. The kasaya was inlaid with many sariras, emitting a strong Buddha's light. Each sarira had the figure of an arhat, Buddha, or bodhisattva. He looked like the ancestor of all Buddhas. A pair of big ears drooped down, and there was not a single strand of hair on his head. The golden Buddha's light was shining. Behind his head, there was a golden Buddha's light that turned into a light wheel and kept rotating. There were 9 circles in this wheel of merit and virtue. Each circle kept rotating, and there were countless figures of Buddhas, bodhisattvas, arhats, and others reciting scriptures. It was like a scorching sun, and endless Buddhist chants were coming out. Standing on the mountain peak alone, he naturally had the illusion that he was in a Buddhist land. The 3 Buddhas of Buddhism, Vairocana Buddha. Di Shitian took a deep breath. There was a solemn expression on his face as he stared at the Buddha in front of him. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to Chijien. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 1043. The 6 ancestors of Taoism, the 3 Buddhas of Shemen, were the most powerful beings of the human race after the ancient times. They were the pillars of the human race and had an unbreakable connection with the 10 immortal sects. The 3 Buddhas of Shemen were the Mahavairocana Buddha, the Buddha of reincarnation, and the Maitreya Buddha. Even though there were peerless geniuses of shaman who broke through and became Buddhas, no one could compare to the three of them. When they met each other, some of them even greeted them with the courtesy of a disciple. Every one of them was a peerless almighty at the pinnacle of the world. Back then, Sakra had learned about the 6 ancestors of Tao sect and the 3 Buddhas of Buddhism in detail. Although he had never seen the 9 supreme powers with his own eyes, the moment he met them, he immediately understood the other party's identity from the aura of this Buddha. Only the Mahavairocana Buddha could emit such a blazing Buddha light. In the world, only the Mahavairocana Buddha could have such an ability. The Buddha opposite him smiled and pinched his Buddha fingers. His body exuded a gentle aura, and even the Buddha light he emitted became much gentler, like the sun in winter. He looked at Di Shitian and said, "The Demon Emperor is indeed the Demon Emperor. You have good eyesight. I've seen the Demon Emperor before, but I didn't meet him in the ancient times. I'm sorry." When his voice entered the ears, there was a majestic aura of the Grand Sun. Every word had an inexplicable rhythm. The 6 ancestors of Taoism, the 3 Buddhas of Shaman. Mahavairocana, you want to stop me? Di Shitian narrowed his eyes. The divine light in his eyes was like a sharp sword. It carried a supreme will that was enough to destroy an ancient giant's spirit and will on the spot. His voice carried a supreme emperor's aura. He did not show any weakness and scolded in a tone. The ancient times? When he mentioned the ancient times, there was boundless anger in his heart. If it was not for the short time he returned to the ancient times, he would have returned to the purple gold continent and killed the human race. He would personally meet the 6 ancestors of Taoism, the 3 Buddhas of Shaman. As the saying went, those who came did not come with good intentions. From the moment Di Shitian saw Mahavairocana, he knew very well that the person in front of him was definitely not there to have a boring chat with him. Demon Emperor, in ancient times, the demon race was destined to decline. Humans were destined to be the protagonists of heaven and earth. They were born with the Taoist body, which conforms to the heavenly way. Since the demon race has declined, why do you still want the demon race to embark on this path that has no future? Mahavairocana spoke as if he was not angry at all. If the demon emperor is willing to cease the war and no longer interfere with the prosperity of humanity, I am willing to give your majesty the position of Buddha. Your status will be the same as mine. The people of the demon race can all betray Buddhism and become its disciples. They will be able to enjoy the boundless great way. Wouldn't that be great? His voice was like thunder. It did not sound much in the void, but when it fell into Di Shitian's ears, he felt that there was suddenly a vast sound of thunder in his mind. The sound of thunder was filled with the supreme sound of Buddha, as if countless Buddhas were scolding and persuading him. Every word seemed to cleanse his mind and be branded into his soul. Damn bald donkey, this is the Mahavairocana thunder. This bald donkey actually wants to convert you into a disciple of Buddhism. He is simply blind. Why doesn't a dung demon bird appear in the sky and drop a stream of feces and urine on his head? Beat him, we must beat this bald donkey to death. What a sinister intention. As if his tail had been stepped on, Ming jumped up violently, wanting to convert Di Shitian. His intention should be destroyed, his intention should be destroyed. He wanted to enslave the entire demon race. His intention was vicious. Bald donkey Rulai, you dare to use the Mahavairocana thunder against this emperor? You are courting death. Do you really think this emperor is afraid of you? As a human, betraying the demon race is disloyal. Slaughtering the demon race is unjust, inhumane, and immoral. How dare such a disloyal, inhumane, and immoral person like you dare to make this emperor betray you? What a joke. A despicable person like you dares to call yourself an ancestor? Today, this emperor will judge you on behalf of the billions of ancient heroes of the demon race. An incomparably dignified face appeared on Di Shitian's face, erupting with a monstrous emperor aura, as if he was scolding his own subjects. His right palm struck out towards Mahavairocana without hesitation. Ultimate Emperor Creation Palm, Xinghe circling. A giant purple gold hand that blotted out the sky appeared out of thin air. This giant hand was abnormally condensed, like the palm of a supreme giant. In the palm, Countless stars gathered to form a river of stars, constantly revolving in a strange orbit. It was as if billions of stars had gathered their power in the palm at the same time. When the palm struck out, it was as if it could shatter heaven and earth. Amiteus Buddha. Mahavairokkana raised his head to look at the huge hand that was descending towards him. His golden Buddha eyes revealed a look of compassion. He chanted the name of Buddha. Mahavairokkana, one of the 3 Buddhas of Buddhism that has not appeared in the human race for many years. To think that he would appear in the ancient painting to block the demon emperor. Looks like the human race is not going to stand idly by in the battle between the demon court and the Wan Shou imperial dynasty. Even this ancient Buddha has appeared. I'm afraid that the human race intends to use this as an excuse to deal with the demon race. TSK, the demon emperor is really bold. Rumor has it that the demon emperor has risen from nothing. No matter how weak he is, he has never bowed his head to any expert. Who would have thought that he would still be so domineering in front of Mahavairokkana, berating him as he pleases? This is a true emperor. Any expert is just an ant in the eyes of an emperor. I wonder if the demon emperor can stop Mahavairokkana. The situation of the battle was ever-changing, and the scene in the ancient painting naturally did not escape the attention of the cultivators. However, they also saw the unforeseen situation in front of them and exclaimed at the same time, "Look, the demon court has been blocked. What is that painting in the void? What a terrifying pressure. I feel that if this ancient painting comes crashing down, I will immediately be smashed into pieces and turned into dust. What a dense power of stars. There are so many stars in that painting. My goodness, could this be the supreme treasure of the starry hall of the 10 great celestial sects of the human race, one of the supreme divine artifacts, the cosmic star painting? What a dense power of stars. My goodness, are the demon court and the cosmic star painting going to fight it out here? These are both supreme divine artifacts. Once they fight, their power will be terrifying to the extreme. Rumble. Just as the demon court was about to break through the void and rush into the ancient painting to help Di Shitian and the others, a vast ancient painting appeared out of nowhere in the void. The moment it appeared, it came crashing down on the entire ancient city with a supreme and overbearing aura. What a starry hall. The 10 great celestial sects of the human race have really not given up on the idea of annihilating the demon race. You actually took out a supreme divine artifact to try and destroy the demon court again. Mengxi's face was cold. Do these humans really think that we are still as soft as before? Hu sneered disdainfully. You've gone too far. Chen Shi took a deep breath and looked at the heavenly cycle star map above his head. Within the map, there were countless stars revolving continuously. It was like an ancient starry sky. The number of stars in the map was uncountable. On her face, there was also a flash of majesty and anger. Rumble. In the cosmic star painting, hundreds of millions of stars shone brightly and exploded with endless power. Just this alone gave the entire cosmic star painting a terrifying power that could crush the void. It kept pressing down. With every inch it pressed down, the void would distort and the vast power would pour down on the demon court. After Chen Shi said you've gone too far, the entire demon court exploded at the same time and revealed a ferocious expression. The vast ancient city did not show any signs of backing down. What kind of master would refine what kind of divine artifact? The demon court shook violently. Suddenly, they saw that the 4 heavenly gates spat out endless majesty and faintly emitted an ancient aura. The pressure that was pouring down was sucked into the heaven gate in one fell swoop and disappeared without a trace. It was as if the power did not exist at all. It was devoured in one fell swoop. Rumble. At the same time, in the core space, the incomparably huge Imperial Jade Archive spun wildly at an unbelievable speed. With every revolution, it constantly absorbed a huge amount of chaotic chi from the void and chaos. The chi of heaven and earth poured into the Jade Archive and into the entire demon court. In the Jade Archive, the talismans of the Great Tao burst forth with the majestic sound of the Great Tao. It emitted a boundless aura of the Great Tao. Vast amounts of yuan chi of heaven and earth poured into the Tao lotuses in a frenzy. Swoosh. Swoosh! As soon as he poured it in, those Tao lotuses that had condensed into material form instantly erupted with dazzling divine radiance. The materialized great Tao emerged from the Tao lotuses. With the infusion of the qi of heaven and earth, the Tao lotuses burst forth with astonishing power and burst forth with pillars of the great Tao that pierced the heavens and the earth. They directly soared into the void. And at this moment, from the outside world, it could be seen clearly. In the ancient city, without any warning, the pillars of heaven that pierced the heavens and the earth violently bombarded the heavenly cycle star map. Each pillar seemed to have the terrifying power to destroy the heavens and the earth. Each pillar of heaven was different. In some of the pillars of the great Tao, there were countless weapons, divine weapons, demon weapons, demonic weapons, and so on. Thousands of weapons converged into a torrent. There were also countless mysterious musical instruments that emitted all kinds of mysterious rhythms and formed all kinds of incredible sound wave attacks. There were also pillars of heaven that were condensed with monstrous killing intent and shining golden light. There were countless sealing talismans that flickered and so on. The pillars of the great Tao rose almost at the same time and violently collided with the heavenly cycle star map. Each pillar represented a great Tao. This was an attack from a great Tao. Its attack was unstoppable. Rumble. The heavenly cycle star map, which had been continuously crushing downward, collided violently with the great path sky pillars on the spot. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to Chidyen.com to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 1044. Whether it's a recommendation or a monthly vote, if you have any brothers, please help me. Every great path sky pillar represented a supreme great path, and it contained the power of the great path. Every great path could create an unparalleled expert. Although the great paths in the demon court were already perfected in the Imperial Jade Archive, they could not be compared to the 3,000 great paths in the Zijin mainland. It was only a preliminary completion. Only by constantly absorbing and deducing could it continue to grow. Even so, it still had the power of an unparalleled expert. Seal, gold, wood, water, fire, earth, yin and yang, empress path, ice, wind, lightning, and so on. The great path sky pillars violently collided with the heavenly star map that was crushing down. The heavenly star map was like a piece of heaven. The sky pillar of the great path was like a pillar holding up the sky, pushing the celestial cycle star map up. All kinds of attacks burst out from the sky pillar of the great path like a torrent. Billions of thunderbolts, countless weapons, overbearing poisons, terrible spatial storms, all poured into the celestial cycle star map in an instant. Rumble. Under this terrifying attack, the endless stars in the heavenly cycle star map were immediately smashed into dust by this overbearing torrent and were annihilated one after another. It was as if the entire heavenly star map was torn to pieces on the spot. Stars. Stars. Stars are indestructible, everlasting, giving birth to gods of war, suppressing the heavens. However, the heavenly star map was obviously not to be trifled with. Countless mysterious prayers kept reverberating from the heavenly star map. After being bombarded by the great path sky pillars that burst out from the demon court, although it did not react for a moment and thousands of stars were crushed, in the blink of an eye, the stars in the heavenly star map burst out with dazzling divine light. In the midst of the countless prayers, an incredible change happened. Every star seemed to have a life of its own. They changed strangely and condensed into a divine body that was 10,000 feet tall. Perfect starry battle armor covered their bodies, and their cold eyes were filled with strong fighting spirit. Holding the star spears in his hands, he stood in the star map and transformed into the Star War God. Each of the Star War gods exuded an aura that reached the pinnacle of the ancient giants. They vaguely had terrifying battle prowess that rivaled that of a peerless master. Fight! 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 Tens of millions of stars simultaneously transformed into star gods of war. Each god of war had all the power of a star in his body. His body overflowed with a monstrous fighting spirit. Holding a battle spear, he fiercely rushed toward the pillars of the great path. Bang bang bang! Terrifying battle spears slammed heavily into the sky pillar of the great path. The torrential torrent that had originally surged out from the sky pillar was forcibly restrained by this terrifying attack. The battle spears slammed into the torrent, and the terrifying power of the stars erupted, tearing the torrent apart on the spot. Thousands of gods of war charged toward the heavenly pillar with an unstoppable battle intent. Boom, boom, boom. The sky pillar of the great path was comparable to a peerless master, but the Star War god's battle prowess was unparalleled. Countless thunderstorms and toxic storms blasted the war gods into smithereens on the spot. However, there were also long spears that slammed into the sky pillar of the great path. Not only did the sky pillar of the great path shake violently, but it also caused terrifying cracks to appear on the sky pillar of the great path. The heavenly cycle star map and the demon court clashed fiercely. The Imperial Jade Archive crazily absorbed endless chaotic chi from the chaos at an unprecedented speed. It turned into various kinds of vital chi and endlessly poured into every sky pillar of the great path, causing the power that erupted from the sky pillars to become even more overbearing. The aftermath of the collision between the two supreme artifacts was enough to destroy the heavens and the earth. The space on the purple gold continent that was so stable and tough that even the all-out attacks of the ancient giants could not shatter it. But in the surroundings, it was shattered into pieces at a speed visible to the naked eye. It was annihilated inch by inch. The void rumbled intensely, showing signs of the great annihilation. Waves after waves of destructive pressure rolled out in all directions. Puff, 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 puff. A large number of cultivators appeared out of nowhere in the void. These cultivators were all pale, and they spat out mouthfuls of blood essence from time to time. They fell directly to the ground from mid-air, forcibly forced out of the void by the two supreme divine artifacts. Just the pressure alone was enough to suppress them to the point that they could not even stay in mid-air. Oh my God, the demon court and the heavenly cycle star map. The collision of the two supreme divine artifacts is really deadly. Oh my God, the demon court can directly use the great path to manifest the sky pillars and bombard the star map. To manifest the sky pillars, it can only be formed when the supreme divine artifact has perfected the great path. In the demon court, dozens of sky pillars can be formed, almost 100 of them. Legend has it that the demon court can become immortal. It seems that it is true. The heavenly cycle star map is said to be able to form star generals. Each star general has supreme battle strength comparable to the pinnacle of the ancient giants. They can even form the 5 constellations. Their battle strength is comparable to that of a peerless master. Their monstrous power can almost obliterate the heavens and suppress the heavens. When the two supreme divine artifacts clash, it may end up in a situation where neither side wins. Although blood was spurting out of their mouths, their eyes were still staring at the void without blinking. Fight! 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 Heavy sounds of battle rang out from the celestial cycle star diagram, as if it had a mysterious connection with the ancient cosmos. Strands of starlight rapidly descended from outer space, surging into the celestial cycle star diagram. Immediately, the pressure from the celestial cycle star diagram skyrocketed. Celestial war gods directly burst out of the diagram. Bang! 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 Their feet stepped on the void, and waves of ripples appeared under their feet. With supreme divine power, they swept toward the demon court like real war gods. The terrifying war spears pierced straight toward the demon court, wanting to directly penetrate the ancient city. How dare you! You're courting death. You don't know what's good for you. Kill you. A large number of Star War gods walked out of the star map and immediately launched a tyrannical attack on the soaring firmament demon court. Spears carrying vast amounts of star power ferociously tore through the air. However, at this moment, it immediately angered the 4 supreme existences. Only 4 angry roars that shook the void could be heard. Boom! 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 The 4 heavenly kings who had been guarding outside the 4 heavenly gates raised their heads and looked into the void at the same time. Their closed eyes instantly opened, and the moment they opened their eyes, a majestic pressure burst out from their bodies. It was as if a sleeping divine king had suddenly awakened, and he let out a cold roar at the same time. East Heaven Gate, West Heaven Gate, North Heaven Gate, South Heaven Gate. The four heavenly kings coldly glanced at the Star War gods who were attacking the demon court and scolded at the same time. As soon as he finished speaking, the four heavenly gates immediately shook at the same time. Rumble. Illusory heavenly gates whizzed out from the ancient gates at a speed visible to the naked eye, and they slammed into the Star War gods without hesitation. The heavenly gates that burst out seemed to contain a vast will that suppressed the heavens and the earth. Almost without any accident, they slammed into the Star War gods. On the spot, the heavenly gates suppressed the Star War gods. Those Star War gods didn't even have the slightest ability to resist. On the spot, hideous cracks appeared out of nowhere on their lofty divine bodies, and in the blink of an eye, they quickly spread to their entire bodies at an astonishing speed. In the blink of an eye, they were shattered into countless pieces. They were immediately swept into the ancient city by the demon court, and quickly refined into the ancient city's body. Boom, boom, boom. But in the eyes of the all-heavens cultivators, a scene that left them dumbfounded appeared before them. What they saw was tens of thousands of Star War gods charging toward the demon court with monstrous fighting spirit. Every move they made contained an unstoppable, supreme power. At the same time, four heavenly gates appeared and violently slammed into the Star War gods. Then, the tens of thousands of Star War gods were shattered into billions of pieces on the spot as if they were made of paper. In an instant, the monstrous offensive was disintegrated. Good. What a domineering four heavenly gates. They actually shattered those powerful Star War gods so easily. It's said that the demon court was built on the foundation of the unparalleled divine city that Tian Jizi designed back then, and it requires the integration of several carnate spiritual treasures to display its power. It's said that the demon emperor personally entered the forbidden grounds of the heavenly gates and obtained the real four heavenly gates, which are the four in front of us. It seems that the rumors are true. Each of the four heavenly gates is a top-level carnate spiritual treasure. Each of them is a supreme existence that suppresses the all heavens and possesses incomparably terrifying power. When the four heavenly gates combine into one, even the most powerful cultivators would not be able to break through their defense. It seems that the situation is indeed terrifying. The four heavenly gates had unparalleled defense. When the four heavenly gates combined into one, it was like an impenetrable fortress that could not be broken through. However, it was a pity that the four heavenly gates were merely defensive treasures. Although they possessed supreme power, they could not break away from the demon court to attack. In terms of attack, the four heavenly gates were not the forte of the four heavenly gates. Even so, no attack could break through the heavenly gates' defense. Rumble. The heavenly cycle star map and the demon court continued to collide. Pillars of heaven supported the heavenly cycle star map until it could not fall. Vaguely, there was a stalemate. Meanwhile, in the heaven-toppling ancient map, Di Shitian's face was cold as he looked at Vairocana in front of him. Without hesitation, he waved his hand and performed the Huangji creation palm. The Xing He-Do spin blasted toward Vairocana. Amiteus Buddha. Vairocana stood on the peak and looked at the giant hand that covered the sky coming toward him. His expression did not change. He only revealed a compassionate expression and said, "Since the shifter emperor is so stubborn, this monk can only forcefully convert you and capture you to the pure land of bliss. You will personally experience the boundless mercy of the shifter sect until you betray the Buddha." Every word seemed to have the power to attack the soul. As soon as he finished speaking, Vairocana gently raised his right hand and met the giant hand that covered the sky. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to Chidian. Com to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories,